and let's go live right about now. We are live on YouTube now. Hi, everybody. Just so you know, I'm Rich Slaton, caster for Clash Royale League, and contrary to popular opinion, we are not late. We are right on time for the end of this showcase match that they're doing in Spain right now. Hope you guys are all excited for the World Finals, the Grand Final, the end of the $40,000 Bren Chong Cup 2. I'm really excited to be here. It's going to be a whole lot of fun. 6 of the best in the world all vying for those top prizes, the $3,500, the $7,500, and the $15K. And that's all in euros, meaning that's a lot more dollars when you get to it. We're in World Finals mode, jacket, collar, the whole business. Speaking of the whole business, we got some company here joining me, finally making it happen here in an official capacity. Joining me on stream today, the guy who's been carrying LATAM, been carrying Asia, been carrying on the first day of World Finals because I had to miss because of baby boy Slaton chipping his tooth. Everybody, please welcome to the show your favorite Canadian, Cashman in the building. What's up, dude?
What's up? How are you guys all doing?
I think everyone's pretty darn excited for this to go off. Of course, Cashman is not meant to be our only guest caster today, so stick around. We'll be having at least one more special guest dropping in at some point. Yes, so as you guys all know, this is the Bren Chong Cup 2. All the fancy intros they usually have got played half an hour ago because the Spanish stream started with half an hour of talking about the Bren Chong Cup 2 and watching like a showcase match between some players who were kind of just playing Clash Royale for fun. We decided we're going to start here. We're going to talk for a few minutes about what we've seen so far, what we think we might see today, and then, of course, in about 5 to 10 minutes-ish, we're going to go ahead and jump into our first match of the day. Remember, we got 6 people here today, but only 3 of them walk away with that cash, with that big-time money. Cashman, let's take a look at our lineup for the day and kind of maybe go through a little bit of a prognostication, if you will. We have on the winner's bracket side of things, and here is the bracket for those of you following along in the chat right now. In the winner's bracket, Michifu versus Miniminter, and then Samuel Bassotto versus Mugi. What? That's going to be crazy. The loser of those two go down to the elimination bracket to take on Matea and Wallace. And, of course, the people in the lower bracket have to win 2 matches just to get back into the money. But the winner of Michifu Miniminter, guaranteed prize pool. The winner of Samuel Mugi, guaranteed prize pool. So, man, a lot on the line right now. Cash, let's start here. Let's talk about Michifu versus Miniminter. This is there's obviously some history between these two guys, some Twitter beef, if you will, some back and forth that these guys have. You know, you've been casting the the LATAM and Asia portion. Of course, these guys were in NA and EU, but you obviously know these two. Thoughts on Michifu versus Mini?
I totally forgot that there was the beef. You're right. Wow, the drama that has unfolded in this tournament has just been insane. You can't write this stuff. Wild, wild, wild. If I have to look at who I would think is a favorite here, I'm going to have to go with Michifu. He's impressed me so much in this competition, just being able to beat some of the best of the best. When I thought about my rankings going into the Bren Chong Cup, I had Ruben at number 1 and I had Morden at number 2. And the player that beat both of those players, the reason they're not here right now is because of Michifu. So is Michifu, is he number 1 and number 2 for me? This is something I'm going to have to figure out, and I'm excited to see what he can do today.
The other side of that, though, is Miniminter, who has been on an absolute run. Came in second in the All-Stars Cup behind Wallace, who's also a top 6. We'll get to him in just a minute. But Miniminter has been very good for a very long, was supposed to be in CRL, but had to pull out at the last minute from that fall split. And he is pumped, right? He is certainly motivated, playing with a very high level of focus. What do you think of, I mean, obviously Michifu is killing it right now. But do you think Miniminter has a pretty good shot here in this BO5?
I think he has as good a shot as any of these 4 people left. He has been proving himself just with, I guess, the confidence that he's been playing with. You can tell that he's learned from his experiences, and I guess I don't want to say failure because that seems really harsh, but his little bumps in the road. For example, in the All-Star Cup, losing to Wallace and then redeeming himself, beating Wallace in the round prior to this, and he's a man on a mission. And I think that mission isn't to come second or third, get that prize money. I think it's first. He wants to win. He's always been that type of player. And it's going to be insane.
It's going to be a very good one. Sorry, guys, I'm keeping an eye on YouTube. There seems to be a weird glitch happening with the feed to YouTube, so I'm keeping a close eye on that one. But if you guys do have any issues, go ahead and let me know. Let's see, and it looks like, yep, okay, cool. Just checking in on our third guy in the booth, who will be joining us a little bit later today. Looking great in the suit. Thank you very much. Let's take a look at the lineup today and what a lineup it is. And they're going to go ahead and throw those right now. Wallace, Stangsan, Samuel Bassotto from Space Station Gaming, La Picardi, the dancing man himself. 2 Space Station members here in the top 6. Michifu, as we were just discussing, great player out of Spain. The Serb, Matea, who's been killing it so far in this tournament, open qualifier player. KK. And again, we're talking about the overall lineup. I guess they didn't make a new one for just this top. Mugi, of course, maybe another favorite here. Igor already out, so I guess they didn't do a different video run for the World Finals overall because we no longer have Igor. Some of these guys aren't here anymore. What we do have, of course, is our other winners bracket semifinal. Samuel Bassotto versus Mugi. Now, of course, you were casting both of these regions, Cash. This is kind of a banger. This is one of those ones that feels like it should be the grand final, not a winners bracket semifinal.
Oh yes. I am so excited for this. Going into the Bren Chong Cup, I looked at the regions, and in my mind, I always thought Asia was #1, and I wasn't really too high on Latin America, but after casting the group stage, the regional finals, I was totally sold. I think Samuel Bassotto, I was really disappointed with his, I think he was probably disappointed as well with just his performance last year in CRL. He's put in the work though, because every time you go on ladder, if you go on ladder right now, most likely he's probably in the top 20, top 10. He was at least for the entirety of last season, and he's been putting in the work. It shows here, and this is one of those situations where it's an unstoppable force meets an immovable object, because I don't know what's going to happen. This might be the start of the universe, the Big Bang. I'm lost for words.
Well, you talk about Samuel Bassotto, and what you're talking about is one of the all-time greatest ladder players. Easily a top 5, maybe top 1 all-time ladder player. The number of #1 finishes he's had in his career is insane. His top 10 finishes, I think his top, I think it's either 30 top 10 finishes or 30 top 5 finishes. I have the numbers written down somewhere. But you're talking about one of the greatest ladder players in the history of the game. No questions asked. Mugi is the guy who everyone who's a fan of the East says is the best in the world. Obviously this is one tournament, and Mugi has a chance, of course, here to take a big tournament to start off his 2021 campaign. And we'll learn a lot, I think, during CRL 2021 overall. But, you talk about this list. There's a very short list of guys who are top 5. Mugi's on that list. Ruben's on that list. And we may have arguments that Sam and Michi are both 2 guys who deserve to be on that top 5 list potentially. So it's a very short list of the top players, and we have some of those guys here right now.
So, Rich, are you not on the Mugi bandwagon?
Mugi's, in my opinion, as of now, and I know people are going to go, but Ruben's out and Mugi's in. In my opinion, Ruben's #1 in the world right now, and Mugi's a very close #2.
Yeah, that's a weird thing for me, because I had Ruben #1, and now I'm getting skeptical just because I guess I watched Mugi play in the group stage, in the regional finals, and I am every time I've watched Mugi, I've learned something about this game. The way he has upped his level, and I don't know, I think this is going back to even like Samuel Bassotto, where he didn't have a great season last season. He didn't have a great CRL. I think Mugi was in the worst situation, getting all the way to the finals in the East, losing, and then getting really what was one of the favorites with Ponos in the World Finals, and then also not getting to where he wanted to do. And I think a lot of pressure was on him, getting the Rookie of the Year, getting the MVP, and then just not getting that accolade. I think we're seeing a next level Mugi, and that's a scary thought.
Let's go ahead and jump right into the action, and let me just double check to make sure I sent you the clean feed here, Cash. Although I think you have it.
Yes, I think I have it. What's your time right now?
I'm at 155, 54, 53, 52, 51, 50.
I'm at 50. 8 and it says that I'm live, so let me refresh and see if I can get to you.
Okay, let's see if you can catch up, and if not, then I guess we'll have to figure out something to do during the break here between these ones. The difficulties of casting across, I guess we're in the same time zone, but across the world here. Graveyard played defensively against this Minor Wall Breakers deck from Miniminter. Michi going Cannon Cart Graveyard. This is not the most popular Minor Wall Breaker deck, but this version with Prince and Mega Knight has been getting more and more popular as this tournament has gone on. We saw it a little bit yesterday, and you'll see, as we saw earlier, people kind of stacking up that Prince behind the Mega Knight, putting the big boy on roller skates, if you will, and it's a very frustrating push to deal with, and a lot of damage, a lot of tankage that can come in there. And wow, look at that Cannon Cart connection. Michifu just shredding Miniminter in the opening 2 minutes.
This is exactly what you love to see with Cannon Cart. Cannon Cart's been, it's crazy that we didn't see anything happen with the Cannon Cart, but just over time it's been so popular. I guess in like what, the past 3-4 months, how popular it's been in ladder and the competitive scene. I like that, where almost people learn the power of a card. And I've always been hopeful for the card. I always thought it was one of the most underrated cards, but another card that I think is underrated is the Prince. And we're seeing that in Miniminter's deck and a lot more decks as well.
And Wall Breakers do not escape. Oh my word, I thought those were going to make a nice little left-hand turn. Instead, doesn't happen. And now you see the Poison and Graveyard shredding tower. That's a GG. That's a well-played. Michifu takes game number 1 of the day. And a nice lead here over Miniminter in this winner's bracket semifinal.
Yeah, hey Rich, is this I guess I just noticed something. Is every single player in the winner's bracket, were they number 1 in their respective region?
Let me take a look at that for a second. Let's see. Mini, I think, was number 1.
Michi was?
Michi.
Same with Bassotto and Mugi were, correct?
Was Michi? Oh, let me go back to the earlier part of the winner's bracket here.
I think that's when he beat La Picati, when I
Michi,
finished off
Mini, Samuel, and Mugi. Yeah, these were all the, and that's that benefit of that first round bye, right? The not having to prep as many decks, not having as much pressure. Pretty good performance from these guys, of course, but you talk about a tournament where the seeding isn't balanced, right? Where someone does earn a bye by that seeding. And that gives you the real value of that first place finish, right? So you saw people competing in those group stages going, oh, who cares who's first, who's second? Well, that first is absolutely huge. We're seeing that right now.
Yeah, I totally agree. And it's weird because the losers bracket's always been hard. We saw it in the regional finals. Whoever came out of the losers bracket was a really good player, but it wasn't an easy journey for them. But now that you have to win 2 best-of-5s, we haven't seen one player able to win 2 best-of-5s on anybody in the losers bracket, where that loser wasn't able to overcome that. Is that correct?
Yeah, the double win from the losers bracket. I don't know the last time I've actually seen that double win from the, and I like to call it the elimination bracket. I've never liked the term. This is one thing that Seth and I strongly agree on. I had him on at the end of the All-Stars, was I love the term elimination bracket or lower bracket. Because,
I say lower bracket as well. Loser doesn't sound,
who wants to watch the losers?
It seems harsh. It doesn't seem like it's giving these players justification because they're not losers. We saw AC come all the way back and almost win. So how is that a losers bracket?
Exactly. And there you go. Electro Spirit doesn't fully counter the Wall Breakers, so one will connect. And this time it's the reverse story where it was Michifu taking the early massive lead. Miniminter now way ahead here as the first minute 10 passes.
Not what I expected with these games. I thought these games, especially with these 4 players left, I was expecting all these games to just be very, very close, 100, 200 HP, going to the 5th and final set each time. I am surprised with how big these shots are coming out of the gate.
Well, let's take a look. Flying Machine does not get picked up by the Princess. This isn't a moderately popular deck that we've been seeing lately, this one out of Michifu. I don't know how much you saw on your side of the brackets.
Not at all.
This bait/bridge spam combination, right? With like Wall Breakers.
What do you think about this deck?
I love it, and it looks like so much fun.
It does. At first, when you look at it, you're like, this doesn't look like a good deck. Like, you look at it as like a deck composition. You think, doesn't a deck need 2 big spells? Doesn't it need 2 win condition? It doesn't look like a deck that should be good. But then when you start dissecting it, you're like, wait a second. There's a lot of power with this deck.
Yeah, well, I mean, you take the two different pieces together, right? You have the bait aspects with the princess and the goblin barrel. Then you put it together that bridge spam where you have three really compelling pieces of spam together with the bandit, the cannon cart, and the wall breakers. The ability to create pressure here is really, really nasty. And then people forget about just how good the combination specifically of log, cannon cart, and skeletons to control anything big that comes across. You know, this thing has a lot of really interesting aspects to it and a lot more variability than you might think.
So much, and not only that, but you can bring up even the princesses, where I know for a fact one of my worst nightmares in Clash Royale is when my opponent starts stacking princesses, and just with how quick this cycle is, easily we've seen 2, 3, almost 4 princesses on the field at once, and that is true fear in Clash Royale. But not only that, you can look at the cannon cart and the combination where a lot of times your opponent wants to knock the cannon cart off its wheels on your opponent's side of the arena. But then your opponent plays a princess, similar to the mortar, where we see a lot of mortar cannon cart. It's because it still defends. There's a lot of little combinations where it's like, wow, this deck is, whoever made this deck thought about this deck.
Flying Machine has been an absolute menace, though, for Michifu. No real way to deal with it, and as you see, in the end, it is Miniminter taking the win. So he had his ban on first loss. Tornado was out. Let's see what Michifu comes up with as his ban for this one. Guys, it is Cashman joining me on the stream. You know what I realized? I think that my co-caster button is still set to hazard. So let me go ahead and put your information in the co-caster button here. 1 second. Let me go ahead and do that so we can be spamming the heck out of Cashman. You've been streaming like crazy, and of course also over a lot of stuff on YouTube. And one thing that's nice about Cashman, guys, and it's different than a lot of people you might see, is Cashman's streaming content and his YouTube content are totally different pieces of content, right? From what I've seen, like you're not repurposing streams for YouTube; you're doing totally different YouTube content.
Yeah, totally everything unique, and also TikTok. That's what I'm kind of known for now. That's all unique. And then I guess Twitter. I don't even know. What do you have a favorite social media, Rich? If you had to say like what your go-to social media is, what would it be?
Twitter for sure.
Twitter, really?
That's the one that I go to. Yeah. I like words. I'm a words guy. There you go.
Is it just because like it's like almost like a news kind of thing? Where because I know my one buddy is big into Twitter. He kind of goes on it every morning for news. Is that why you like it? Yeah,
news, information. I know it's not my NPR. But no, it's a place where you find out what's happening in the world real fast from Twitter, and also just I follow funny people. My Twitter is a mixture of Clash Royale people, mixed martial arts fighters and personalities, comedians. It's a weird combination based on all the different careers that have been a part of my life. So it's certainly not
Joe
boring.
Rogan. Doesn't Joe Rogan follow you on Twitter?
What does he? Mega Knight to the right hand side. I may have met some people throughout my life. Miner goes into the front outside corner, and Mega Knight gonna slide on through. No, nice pickup by the spears here. Oh, the prediction arrows take the skeletons off. What a play by Miniminter to avoid the King Tower activation.
Wow, what a play. What a play. It sucks because I'm still a little bit behind because you're saying it, and I'm like, oh, I can't wait to see this, and then I see it 5 seconds later.
Yeah, we have to figure out how to fix that one. Maybe I'll do a quick stop-start during the break. I don't want to do it. I don't want to do it during gameplay as I'm the feed everyone's watching.
No
We'll try to get us on the same lane there.
So Rich, do you want to play a game called Guess That Last Card of Miniminter?
Actually, now that I'm looking at it, it feels like it should be a cycle card, right? At this point.
There's 3. It's Cannon Cart, Prince, or it's going to be Bandit. I'm going with Bandit. I'm feeling like Miniminter's going to change it up with a little bit of Bandito action.
I don't think Prince in here, but I could be wrong. With the arrows and zap, that would be nice for making Princes slide on through. So it wouldn't be the worst choice in the world. Arrows, Muskie, and Minions as the, I guess, zap also. And it is Prince. There you go. I guess I colored me wrong.
No, I thought it was going to be Bandito. R.I.P. Good try. Good try. We got to step our game up. That was a fun little game. First time.
All right. Delivery in. Hunter up to the top inside corner, so not able to work on that miner. And Pigs go to the left-hand side. Mega Knight in response. So far, this game has certainly been in Miniminter's favor, but Michifu's starting to make a case on the left-hand side, and that EQ cycle is going to get really nasty. Prince comes in, Miner goes to the back, and this is what's so annoying. You have to control for so many different things at once. The zap gets the Skellies. No, not quite enough, and Prince will get picked up by the Hunter. So really brilliant, brilliant defense from Michifu, and he still takes a Prince shot there at the end.
Yeah, we saw Samuel Bassotto win this matchup. He was playing Michifu's deck, and we saw, who was he playing against? It was, I think, Matea playing the deck that Miniminter's playing with the Prince as well. And I, going into this, thought that there was no way Samuel Bassotto was going to win. And now I'm kind of seeing what I expected in this match. Samuel Bassotto ended up pulling it through, but it's just difficult. There's just so many things. You need your Hunter to get too much value.
Whoa, but right now, look at this. Piggies do a lot on the left-hand side, and I don't know if Mini can beat out the EQ here. Miner goes to the back, EQ trying to tick away, arrows come in, 78 HP, and Michifu steals the win back from Miniminter. Someone print the t-shirt, I swear I will wear it on CRL. Earthquake is a win condition. No questions asked.
Wow. Wow. That is insanity. And that just shows the power of the Earthquake. What is going on? I'm surprised. Do you think the Earthquake needs a rework,
Yes.
an emergency rework? Because I don't think this is the
Yes.
card it's supposed to be.
Yes. Yes. Yes is the answer. Earthquake is a win condition, and it's not, I don't think it's not meant to be a win condition. It's too little elixir to be as powerful as it is. Like, look, we all hate Rocket Cycle, right? Who doesn't want to rage when you get Rocket Cycled out on your tower? It's one of the worst feelings ever. And
100%.
then take that and then make it half price. That's the problem with EQ right now. Is that it's half price as a win condition that, you know, while you hate getting Rocket Cycled, it's one of those ones where it's less offensive in many ways than getting than the endless horror of realizing that you can't catch up to those EQs.
Yeah, and not only that, but it's super different because if your opponent uses a rocket, that's your opening where it's like, okay, I can go all in. My opponent doesn't have a big spell. This is my chance to maybe punish my opponent. But with Earthquake, your opponent plays Earthquake. You can't punish him. It's only 3 elixir. Not only that, but they probably have a Royal Delivery or some other card to, if you go too aggressive, to punish you. Also, the Hunter's just so good, so that just makes it even easier where you can just use these Hunters, just defend like an absolute god. We see Igor and we see actually Michifu do it a lot as well, and they just Earthquake, 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 and I don't know if it's good. I don't know if it's bad. It's interesting. Maybe it's just bad. I don't know.
It makes for some really fascinating come from behind wins, but in the end, Earthquake is just a little bit too strong, and it's one of those ones where, you know, one of the knocks, and I like, okay, if you rank like the ways that you get to tower, that you kill a tower without actually having to cross the bridge. It used to be that Expo was the most annoying one, but Expo got super nerfed, so you're not as concerned about Expo. Now EQ is the most frustrating way someone can kill your tower without ever having to cross the bridge, so much so that there are decks that just rely purely on EQ cycle. Spell cycle as a deck only works because of the power of EQ. The Mortar EQ deck works because of EQ, not because of Mortar. Mortar is number 3 or number 4 on the list of, because Mortar at least you can pick up pretty easily. But
yeah,
EQ
and
right
it's
now is
not
crazy.
punishing. A Mortar lock, maybe it's 200, 400 damage. That's not the end of the world, and that's if.
Yeah, not the end of the world indeed. And take a look at the EQ damage on the right-hand side. Michifu just abusing the Earthquake. That's the whole thing that's happening right now. He's abusing the Earthquake repeatedly, and Miniminter really has nothing he can do about it at this point.
The Miniminter should win this game, though. Now that we're in double elixir, he should be able to just go all in on one side, have a good defense, and these Royal Hogs should not get any more damage. So as long as he can defend this cleanly... Oh, I'm behind. Wait a sec. Did he already defend it cleanly?
Yeah, we're 20 seconds left, and there's the split, 2-2 at the bridge. We'll try to do the... In between this match, we'll try to get ourselves back on sync here a little bit.
Oh, yeah, perfect.
With these clean feeds. And yeah, there's no way through for the pigs. Between the log, the skeletons, the hunter, the delivery... It's just a complete nightmare for Miniminter. Michifu going to take the first one, and Michifu guarantees himself a spot in the top 3 in the prize pool, and now Miniminter has a long road to climb to get back in the money.
Wow. Wow, wow, wow. Michifu has just been proving himself time and time again. It's weird because I think a lot of people know the name Michifu, but you never really think of him as even like a top 10 in the Clash Royale rankings, but he's always been a good player. I think now, like people, when they talk about the best players, we gotta start talking about Michifu. He's been just proving himself. And this solo format in 2021 with CRL, he is just gonna dominate. He always does well in these solo tournaments, and he's doing it again.
It's very good for him. This format is good. I think that CRL is going to be good for him. Michifu is also a top-tier ladder player, right? People forget when they talk, I mean, maybe they don't forget about it, but like Michifu, where he makes his bones is in being one of the top ladder players. So a format based on high performance and ladder, that benefits Michifu very well. You know, this is going to be a put up or shut up year for everyone in Clash Royale, in my opinion. You have 8 ladder seasons to make your qualifications, 8 opportunities to make that top 32, to make that top 8, to gain your points. You know, people might have different opinions on this. I think that we have I'm curious to see how it plays out, of course, as the year goes on. But I think this year we are going to see, we're truly going to have a best in the world when all is said and done.
Yeah, I totally agree. And I don't think it's going to be a disputable best player in the world. And it's going to be interesting because I think the way we're going to say best player in the world, but I think there's a lot of things that players can do where maintaining that support system, having that analytical team behind them, getting that little bit of a competitive advantage is going to be so crucial where, yes, I think one player is going to be the best, but it's not all going to be that player. It's going to be having those friends like Igor has with Lapicati and Legolas, having that analytical team behind you and maintaining that support team with it, either having a coach to just keep you mentally focused or just keep you, I guess, in the right mindset going into each and every game. This is stuff that's going to be crucial if you want to be the best in the world. You got to treat it like you're an athlete. You have to do the due diligence, and I'm excited to see it.
Yeah, and those of you, I see a lot of you in the chat right now is a pretty good group here, 2,700 watching right now, 2,900. And guys, if you think you're this good, you say I can beat these guys, guess what? CRL 2021 is a completely open tournament. All the information right here in the link, also in the description below. You can be in CRL 2021. There's no tryouts for teams. There's no org that decides who you... It's not who you know. It's not where they have a big profile. It's can you play the game. Top 1,000 ladder qualify for a tournament every month. The tournament cuts down to the top 32 for a smaller tournament. That's all within the prize pool. Top 8 make the monthly broadcast, and you earn points all the way throughout. So if you believe you're as good as these guys, put your money where your mouth is and show up and take a piece of that $1.6 million Clash Royale League prize pool for this 2021 season.
Yeah, I can't. I guess I'm a little selfish when I talk about Clash Royale 2021. I've heard a lot of negatives just from pro players and stuff, but me as a viewer, I am so excited. I've been watching CRL and Clash Royale competitive scene for so long, where I feel spoiled this year getting 8 months of Clash Royale leading up to potentially the World Finals, and there's going to be all these community tournaments like the one we're watching right now in between. It's going to be a crazy year for CRL 2021 and just Clash Royale in general. I can't wait.
Well, here we go. Talking about can't wait. This is the matchup. This is the one that everyone wants to see. Mugi and Samuel Bassotto, best of 5. 2 guys who are clearly 2 of the top players in the world. Samuel, one of the best ladder players of all time, maybe the best ladder player in the history of Clash Royale. And Mugi, who's the micro master and easily one of the top 3 players on the planet. The debate goes back and forth, Mugi or Ruben, and it kind of just depends on which hemisphere you're in, whether you pick Mugi or Ruben at the moment. So we'll see if Mugi can add some more accolades to his trophy case with a big win here today.
I'm definitely on Team Mugi. I didn't want to interrupt you, but yes, this is when we were talking about the deck that Michifu was running, that bait bridge spam deck. It kind of showcased the difference between the regions, the meta that we see with each region. Well, this is part of the meta that we saw in the Asia region. It was the only time I ever saw this deck, and it's the Magic Archer Wall Breakers version. Having the Tornado, having the Magic Archer, not having a big spell. We saw Elsioff run this deck the most. And this deck is fun to watch, especially in the hands of a really good player. Just seeing the value they can get from these Magic Archers is incredible. And I think that might give a little bit of edge against this good old Earthquake deck.
Yeah, 2 of the top cycle players in the game going back and forth. Interesting that you're seeing Samuel play into the damage rather than go into that right-hand side, but is going ahead and cycling into that tower and maybe trying to create the best counter pressure he can. But look at how much is coming down the lane right now for Mugi. Able to stop the wall breakers is Samuel, and now does he double down in this lane? And yes, he does. Hog going to be in front of the archers. EQ should be fine. We're in double elixir. It feels like triple, though, with the pressure these two are putting on.
Wow, I am like 20 seconds behind then. I don't know how this just happened.
Miner in to the front here. Wall breakers get picked up by the skeletons. Snowball down. 11:38 on that left-hand tower. Now with the log down to 10:66. Knight at the bridge. Hog Rider going to be in. And interesting NATO here from Mugi. And look at the moves Mugi's putting on. NATO to pull all that back and be dealt with. Bomb Tower jukes the EQ. And that's a huge exchange for the Japanese player.
I wish I could help commentate on this, but I think I'm a good 20 seconds behind.
All right, we'll do something during the break. Just the turnaround in games are so fast.
So quickly. It might be even too quick. I heard there's a little bit of controversy with Wallace, but I don't want to get into that right now. Let's focus on this game.
Here we go. Spears to the left-hand side. Myron to go in one more time. Wall breakers behind. And again, Samuel's done a very, very good job of not letting that wall breaker push get through, and this NATO should be enough to get one more shot. No, 2:06 remaining. So going to need a little bit more damage here for Mugi. 23 HP, and Mugi with a brilliant game. That's what you expect from him. Gorgeous, gorgeous finish by the Pono Star.
Amazing, and I expect nothing less. And just that's I mentioned the whole watching the Magic Archer. I think that was the card to watch in Mugi's deck, and we saw it. The Magic Archer. If you can get value with the Magic Archer and just make your opponent overexpend, even if you're in double or triple elixir, it adds up really quickly. And with these caliber of players, one little bit of that, one little edge, one little mistake either from either side, you just win. And Mugi doesn't really make mistakes.
Yeah, and people in Twitch chat, I mean, people on both chats talking about that log, which was absolutely gorgeous. Mugi certainly winning some fans over here. If you didn't already know him, of course you're going to know him. Why is Cashman's voice so weird? Because we're going through Skype, guys. This is an international broadcast. I'm in Texas. Cashman's in Canada. The production booth is in Spain. We have casters in Italian, English, Spanish, French, Portuguese, Japanese. I don't know what else we're bringing in, but this is all over the place. So there you go. It's a wild, wild tournament, a huge tournament. And, of course, it's big because it's 40,000, not dollars, euros. So whatever that is, like $48,000 or whatever. It's a massive, massive, massive tournament overall. And let's go ahead and jump into game number 2 right now. Mugi up 1. This is a ban on first loss format, meaning Samuel Bassotto chooses to ban Graveyard, no longer available for the remainder of this best of 5. And now I'm at 38 seconds, 37, 36. We're a bit closer now, Cash?
I'm at 43, 42, 41.
Okay, so you're about 10 seconds behind me. After this game, I'll give a little bit more buffer to get you back in.
Oh, no worries whatsoever. And this is going to be an exciting matchup. We got Mugi going with the giant skeleton balloon. And then we got Samuel Bassotto just going with a little bit of Royal Giant Cycle. You brought up how Samuel Bassotto is one of the best Cycle players ever, and he is going to have to go up against another great Cycle player. But I don't know if I could just say that Mugi's a great Cycle player, because I've seen him play every single archetype, from Lava Hound Beatdown to Bait, Double Barrel Bait, to Cycle, to these control kind of decks. He can do it all, so he's a scary, scary player to go up against.
Yeah, he is certainly real nasty here. Giant Skeleton to the left-hand side. And Royal Giant in response in the same lane.
Rich, this is a kind of, you brought it up, the 40,000 euro prize. I know it's a total prize, but what would you do if you had 40,000 euros?
40,000 euros?
Yeah.
I don't know.
That's a lot of
I
potatoes.
just think very Euro, like buy a very flashy shirt.
Ooh, maybe like what's that? Like there's like that little Fiat. Isn't that like a European car?
You know what I do is I would buy one of those watches that Conor McGregor posted on Instagram before he got knocked out. Those crazy like watches where it's a dragon on your watch. I do something silly like that.
Ah, so you'd get like kind of like that flashy thing, like that status kind of thing. I thought you were gonna say something about sunglasses.
No, no. I mean, I don't need to spend my fun money on that. That's my serious money for the shades.
Yeah, I don't know if I would buy. I don't know what I'd buy with $40,000. Just Dogecoin, just nothing but Dogecoin.
Balloon into the left-hand side, and that giant skeleton way into enemy territory. Mugi's putting the hurt on Samuel right now. Giant skeleton bomb explodes just out of range. Samuel able to hold on a little bit, so that lead is still maintained as we go into the final 30 seconds. We're in double elixir time, and that fish boy gonna pull that. Wow, look at the Royal Giant play. Samuel Bassotto almost got betrayed by the fisherman with that giant skeleton, but beautiful, beautiful play with the RG to move that GS off of his tower.
Perfect interaction there. That's an interaction that I actually posted on TikTok, and people didn't understand it. It was a little bit too, I guess, complicated for the entirety of the, I guess, ladder if you're high, middle, low, wherever you are. But that's a play that could just save you a game, and I think right there that just saved Samuel Bassotto the game.
Yeah, and look at that Royal Giant left-hand side, absolutely shredding that tower. Going to get 2 shots here. Gets a third one off as well, despite the skeletons and the hunter. This is a huge moment for Mugi in this push. Hunter does not take the fish boy off, and now Hunter in response, and this is just nice and shut down. Although, no, there you go. Electro Spirit enough there at the end. 794 to 1462 with 90 seconds left. Samuel Bassotto in the lead, looking like he can tie this one up. But with the insane microplay between these two, wow, this is going to be a really, really tight one.
Yeah, this is crazy, and we saw Samuel Bassotto do this in the round prior against Matea. He just, every time he plays the Hunter, it gets so much value.
214 on the left-hand side, balloon in, Miner will go to the back, fireball high, and Hunter will work, but this fish boy isn't enough. Electro Spirit comes in, snowball, wow, a good prediction snowball from Mugi, but not gonna quite do it. Fireball log gets it done, and Samuel Bassotto ties things up in game number 2.
This is exactly what I was expecting. I think we're gonna go back and forth all the way to the final set, and at the end, if I don't know if you're Mugi, I don't know what card you ban here. If you're looking at Samuel Bassotto, you could do something crazy here and just try to go for that outplay ability. Try to let your skills kind of talk for yourself. And I think that card to ban is Hunter. We see Samuel Bassotto use Hunter in pretty much all of his decks, all these cycle decks, and that would really put him in an awkward position. Sure, Mugi uses the Hunter a lot as well, but I think he doesn't need the Hunter, where I think Samuel Bassotto maybe needs the Hunter.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if there's a card I would say that Samuel needs specifically in his deck pool. Let's go and take a look at the matchup here from this last one. And as you can see, decent amount of data on this one. Only 115 games played for the sample size, but overall fairly even. Although I don't know if I think this really tells the story here, because it feels like Samuel has much better options for shutting down the balloon than Mugi has for countering the Royal Giant.
Yeah, I think on both sides, I think you're right. That's a really good eye about stopping the Royal Giant, where I think the Royal Giant's always going to get that 1 shot, 2 shot. We even saw it get 3 shots a couple of times, where you could deal with this balloon every single time. And as long as you can do that, Samuel Bassotto won, and that's what we saw.
Guys, if you're just tuning in, thank you so much for joining. I'm Rich Slaton, caster for Clash Royale League, here for the World Final for the Bren Chong Cup 2. $40,000 prize pool, $15K today to your winner. Subscribe link is in the chat. Don't forget to subscribe, because there is great Clash Royale esports stuff here all the time. When you're not watching CRL, here's where you get all your best esports action. And of course, my co-caster Cashman has been streaming a bunch of fun stuff on his Twitch. There's his Twitter that gives all his links as well. Here we go, game number 3, and Mugi choosing not to exercise his ban, choosing to save his ban for the moment. And not an uncommon move from top-tier players.
No, but I just don't think that's a smart move. I think that's a play that you would do maybe if you don't know a player. I think we saw that with Igor when he went up against, I can't remember who he was playing up against, but I truly don't think Igor knew enough about his opponent's deck pool to make a ban. In this situation, Mugi should have a game plan going into this. I thought he'd already have a ban pre-prepared. And this is, I guess, surprising to me. But this looks like a really good matchup. But Samuel Bassotto did win this matchup in the past. So I have a piece of paper beside me saying, don't count out KK Igor. And I had to add Samuel Bassotto to this list. And I say ever in big capital letters because even if the matchup looks bad, Samuel Bassotto will figure out a way to win it.
Well, that delivery certainly does give some extra viability to this matchup. And Samuel can get down very, very quickly here. Of course, the cage does pick up the mortar in this instance. But don't forget, guys, repeat this after me. Earthquake is a win condition. Yes. So with this mortar miner earthquake deck, the ability, if Samuel can put together one or two more really good defenses, this game could turn on a dime very quickly.
Yeah, I agree, and I think right now Samuel Bassotto should be able to take this right side tower. I wouldn't mind seeing Samuel Bassotto start dealing some damage to the left side because I don't think he's going to be able to protect this right side tower. I think this is probably going to go to a 2-tower game, so getting that little bit of a lead going, if it is a 2-tower game, I think it's going to really help Samuel Bassotto down the line.
It should indeed. Let me just go ahead. I'm checking on something here to make sure. I'm seeing someone talk about the resolution. Yeah, guys, you can upscale your... I'm streaming this in 1080p, so if you're having some trouble with the resolution, guys, just go and change your resolution settings for how you're viewing it. Sometimes it sets it down to 480 or 360 based on your connection, so you can go ahead and fix that by changing your resolution, and it should come out nice and clear and pretty. And speaking of clear and pretty, tower down on the right-hand side here, and Mugi is certainly annoyed about that with 30 seconds left.
Yeah, I think I'm a little bit behind, but I just love what Samuel Bassotto does with these hunters. He plays them so early so he can cycle back to another one, and there's been times in double and triple elixir where we've seen 3 hunters on the field for Samuel Bassotto. This is why I really think you should get rid of Hunter if you're looking at Samuel Bassotto. He's just so good at them. He seems every time he plays them, he gets so much value, and this is a matchup where I thought Mugi would have actually had maybe an advantage, but again, we see just Hunter doing Hunter things, Earthquake doing Earthquake doing Earthquake things, and the end result's the same. So Samuel Bassotto is going up 2-1.
There we go, 2-1 up for Samuel. And as people are talking about in the chat, unable to deal with the Hunter was Mugi. That was the big problem, was the Hunter was just an unreachable defensive piece for the deck of Samuel Bassotto. And every once in a while, you find something like that in certain matchups. The Hunter, the Princess, the Firecracker, all of those can find certain matchups where they are just an absolute annoyance. And in this one, that Hunter, very, very difficult for Mugi to get to. So Samuel able to shut things down quite consistently there. How far behind do you think you were on that one? We're trying to still get ourselves.
I was about maybe 10 seconds, 8 seconds.
Still that far behind. Okay, I'm going to do a quick pause and start here. And, I'll say the time when we come out and get things going. So game number 3 in the book. Samuel Bassotto does have match point. A win here would guarantee Sam a spot in the top 3 and a piece of that prize pool. Third place being 3,500 euros, which is, I don't know, like $3,800, something like that. So a fairly significant prize pool here, of course, with 40,000 overall throughout this event. But these winners bracket finals, and again, all 4 of the players here in the winner bracket semifinals, all 4 of them were the first place finishers in their groups. So you see the value of that, only having to win a couple of matches to guarantee yourselves a piece of that prize pool.
Yeah, I think it also just proves that the regional finals did a good job showing who the best player is in each of these regions. And I wouldn't be surprised if the grand finals and the grand finals will consist of one of these two, or I guess 2 of these 4 #1 players from their region.
Yeah, I mean, it certainly can, and we're going to be linked up here in just a minute. Where is the Portuguese stream, says Gus Palauto. Go ahead and follow Revel Amar on Twitter. If you go look on Twitter, I believe Bruno streaming this either on Twitch or YouTube. So there you can find Portuguese. And here we go. 40, 247, 246, 45, 44. How far ahead of you am I?
I just got into the game. I'm at 250, 249, 248. Oh,
you're still so far behind me. I think you're falling further behind every time because I keep pausing to make up for it.
What in the world? It says that I'm live. I can't even go further. Maybe I can try refreshing and that'll help.
Yeah, go ahead and give it a shot here and we'll see what happens. And getting some... just getting some information from League Ops here.
Oh my gosh, I might have been a burnt zucchini bread because I think I was looking at I think I was watching your YouTube stream.
Oh my word.
Oh my gosh.
Oh my word. All right.
So what are you at?
Because I'm now at 204, 203, 202, 201, 2 minutes.
Okay.
Are you ahead of me now because you're actually watching the clean feed?
Oh, yes. I was way ahead of you.
All right, so I'll go switch back to live after this. You maniac. You were watching my YouTube feed.
Absolutely apologize. I was going to say, I was going to be right back and grab a coffee real quick. I should have done that matches ago.
Oh, my Lord. Here we go. Good damage in from Mugi to even things up here after the opening salvo from Samuel Bassotto. 1772 to 1836, but it is the dual lane damage for the Pono star over Samuel Bassotto at the moment.
This is, hey, it's crazy that Mugi finally banned the Hunter, so I think that was a great option, but the problem is, a great replacement for the Hunter is the Musketeer, a card that used to be really popular, and I think is still a really powerful card.
Yeah, Muskie's just falling out of favor a little bit. The nerf obviously was important, but people seeing the value of that Hunter having the ability to deal with both splash and single target, and that close-up response to tanks is absolutely huge. Here we go. Does Samuel find a good way to protect? He's using this Fireball here, and that's enough to protect that E-Wiz. A little bit of pressure in the opposite direction. We'll get a full blast, just one full blast on the right-hand side. Here we are in double elixir time, and at the moment, it is now Mugi taking the lead here as Samuel chooses to go opposite lane.
Yeah, this is gonna be a match where I'm surprised out of all decks Mugi picked this one. When I guess it's not do or die, he'll still be in the losers bracket, but still a very important match. And I wasn't expecting him to play this deck. We haven't seen him play it that much. I thought we would see him play maybe that minor wall breakers cycle deck, maybe the deck that we saw him play in the first one with the Magic Archer, just something that has a lot of outplayability potential. Maybe even Mortar Graveyard. We haven't seen that deck a lot today, but we've seen that deck a lot in the Bren Chong Cup.
So here we go to the left-hand side. Prince to the right-hand lane. Musketeer in response. E-Wiz sets up high. Miner gets in deep with the help of the arrows, and that's going to be a lot of danger on the right-hand side. This Prince should get a connection, and E-Wiz comes out last second to hold on, but right now Mugi is forcing Samuel to overspend and spend where he doesn't want to at the moment. Huge, huge advantage for him. And now the aggressive Royal Giant and the right-hand line for Samuel.
Wow, this is going to be pretty much do or die. If he can defend this Royal Giant, I don't know how Samuel Bassotto will defend this push because I'm assuming he's going to support the Miner on the right side with these minions. And this should be a lot of damage and the wall breakers as well. How do you stop this? You still have to deal with the Prince. Great Fireball, though.
Here we go, 8:65 in the top right-hand corner, 10:23 with a minute 10 left. Very, very tight between these two at the moment.
I am way behind still.
Mega Knight in front of the Prince on the right-hand side. And Electro Spirit to help. E-Wiz down in support. Royal Giant making a pretty good push here. This RG should be able to get a couple of shots. Zap to slow down a bit. Fireball gets in, 113 on the right-hand side.
And I think this is it. We've seen Samuel Bassotto defend so perfectly so many times. I don't think he's going to make a mistake now, and this most likely will just be a Fireball coming in.
Wall breakers in, and this should be Fireball to finish things off. Samuel takes down Mugi and puts himself in the prize pool. GG, well played. And we now have two of our top three. Samuel Bassotto, what a game, what a play. Wow. And what a nice bit of prize pool he's taken home.
That is crazy to me. Mugi, I've been casting. The last time I saw Mugi lose a set was in the group stage, and I think that in the group stage we saw a lot of these pro players maybe not go full out, maybe try out some decks. In the regional finals, we didn't see Mugi lose a set. So going into this, I truly thought that Mugi might have been either an AI unit made from Elon Musk, a god, an unstoppable force. But it looks like he's human, and Samuel Bassotto is making a name for himself right now in this Bren Chong Cup.
Yeah, I mean, look, if you don't already know who Samuel is, I don't know if you've been watching much in the way of competitive Clash Royale. With how good he's been. Now, the interesting thing about Samuel is that he has been, without question, one of the best ladder players in the history of the game. Like I said, 30 top 10 finishes, 30 plus, I believe 5 #1 finishes. Absolutely nasty as a player overall. He's never put it together so much in the competitive scene when he's done in the ladder scene. But this does
No.
feel like a year, an opportunity for him to do that. Mugi is not out, guys. This is a double elimination tournament. And here's the bracket link in the chat for you who are trying to follow along. This is double elimination, and Mugi was still in the winner's bracket. So he still has a chance to move forward. And we're going to go take a look at the clean feed here, because I guess in the Spanish studio, they're unveiling something. I don't know what this is. If this is... What are they looking at here? That's Revel Amar. That's the Spanish caster and the organizer for this event. And they're just looking at
flag.
No, it's like a phone or something. They're just looking at some. They're just giving some sponsor some airtime. So we'll cut back over here as they unveil a phone on their side of it. Wish we could see Cashman right now. Probably wearing a basketball jersey with a bow tie. That's my guess.
No, I'm wearing a comfy or a cozy or whatever they're called. It's that like sweater blanket thing. I got it for Christmas, and it's a game changer.
You're wearing a Snuggie?
Pretty much, yeah.
I don't know why, dude. We need photos. We need pics.
Oh,
we
gosh,
need you
I don't
jumping
know.
into. We need you doing
this.
this.
I got my classic Tampa Bay hat on. I got a Snuggie on, and I'm wearing Pillsbury Doughboy pajamas. So, no. If anybody's listening to this, I am wearing a suit. I'm wearing a tie.
Yep.
I did my hair. I look like Leonardo DiCaprio in The Wolf of Wall Street.
Yeah, no, at all times.
Of course.
I'm not the only one who's dressed up for this World Final. So I guess we're going to take a moment here as they get prepared for the lower bracket while, again, the Spanish stream is unveiling a phone. If you want to see it, here, you can look at the phone on the feed that's coming into us right now. So I don't even know what phone that is. But there you go. There's the phone that they're unveiling right now in the Spanish stream. People who are asking where AC is, he'll be joining us at some point today. That's the plan. But as you might imagine with his schedule, maybe sometimes gets a little bit tired here and there. Who is the best Clash player in the world right now? I don't know. 2021 will tell us a lot. I do think that I've said that I think Ruben is still number one. What he did in 2020, no one's done that, right? What he did in 2020 with the No Tilt League Special Edition, CRL West Championship and CRL World Championship, like that's just a trophy case for 1 year that's hard to replicate. But it's a new year. It's a new season. CRL 2021. Oh, I thought they're just going back. Maybe we'll be doing some replays here with Bale. They have been going here for replays a bit. Were they doing replays on day one of the World Finals for you?
Yes, they were. Him and Benny who were going back and forth.
Okay, good. Guys, as long as we're waiting here for our next matchup, if you're new to the channel, you don't know who I am, have you ever watched Clash Royale League, have you heard my voice before? Hello, welcome to Clash Royale League. I'm Rich Slaton, joining me is Andrew Guy. That whole thing, right? That's me. This is my channel on YouTube. It's a great place for competitive Clash Royale content, whether it be live-streamed events like this, pre-recorded BO5s, with different fun formats, experimenting with different ways to do competitive Clash Royale. My Inside the Play videos, taking deep dives into the X's and O's of major moments and major matches, and some little tip videos, minute-long breakdowns of some techniques, all available right here. If you haven't yet, subscribe to the channel. There's the link in the chat right now. I'll hit it one more time for y'all. Subscribe to the channel, and make sure you ring the bell for notifications. Make sure you come back for all that fun stuff. Here we go. This is an elimination matchup. Loser leaves town. Matea versus Miniminter. Matea top your screen, Mini at the bottom. Cannon Cart will cross the bridge at 235 right now.
235, got it. Check. I'm at 27, 26. Let me back up a bit. I'm at 229, 228.
There we go. Boom, nailed it. We are in sync, guys.
Okay.
We don't have
Rich,
to.
I'll be right back. I'm just gonna grab a coffee real quick.
Dude, I wish. You might have to let me take one of those moments here in a minute. Let's go ahead.
No worries,
and,
no worries.
He'll get some
I'll
coffee,
take the first one.
and we'll look at double bait here up against what looks like a graveyard deck out of Miniminter on the bottom side of the screen. And now, after all of that, we have a bit of lag, just a slight delay. Again, this feed is coming all the way across the ocean from Spain to me and then back out to you guys, but we're going to be okay here. Knight to the left-hand side, first minute away. No significant damage. Graveyard trigger does get pulled by Miniminter. Fireball in will get on the Dark Goblin, but Skeletons come out behind that Dark Goblin to get just a little bit of work done, and the Snowball does defend against the Skeleton Barrel on the right-hand side. 2-2-9-5 to 23-52, and this is one of those matchups where you feel like Matea needs to get a good advantage early on. Dark Goblin is a huge equalizer here and if he can make good use of it, the good thing for Matea in this matchup is he doesn't have to spend as much of the Dart Goblin up high for DPS purposes as he might in other matchups with a bigger tank besides the Knight. The Cannon Cart, of course, going to be annoying. He has to control that with the Knight and maybe the Bomb Tower as well. A little bit of log work might get mixed in there on top of it. Of course, wants that log saved for the graveyard as much as he can. But we'll expect to see, with the fast rotation for Matea, he can get that Dart Goblin out both on a high defense and a low defense. But we'll see primarily about him putting that Dart Goblin behind King Tower and out of Fireball range when he is defending against that graveyard. Final 42 seconds of regulation coming in double elixir time. And here you go, Matea going full bait push on the left-hand side. Snowball does not fully counter that Goblin Barrel, so has to drop a lot of troops behind. And that Dart Goblin gets targeted by the Cannon Cart. The Bomb Tower there maybe trying to make room for the Cannon Cart to slide on through. A bit of an overspend, in my opinion, by Miniminter, and now that means that this full bait push can go to the opposite side one more time. Snowball does come in with the Knight and Archers as support, meaning not much damage, but it is Matea, the Serb, with the lead, 2181 to 2295 as we go into sudden death overtime. Graveyard push to the left, and this time the high Dart Goblin trying to contend with that Mega Minion, but that's not going to be the way that he wants that to play out, and now a significant amount of damage on the left-hand side for Miniminter, the Peruvian American, pulling away with the lead now by a little under 200 HP crosswise to the 1774 on the right-hand side. Skeletons down, cycled, maybe Matea predicting a graveyard push aggressive in the left-hand lane. Didn't happen. Fireball trying to make room, and look at the damage on the right-hand side, down to under 1,000 HP with that Fireball in support, but now it's Miniminter's turn to fire back, and with the Knight in tanking, brilliant Knight there by Matea. That Knight from Matea was very, very smart. Pulled the opposing Knight back towards the Cannon Cart and allowed the Bomb Tower to target the Cannon Cart and kill its wheels, getting it, stopping it from connecting to tower on that left-hand side. Here we go, bait push on the right-hand lane with 1 minute left. Triple elixir on its way, 807 to 1157, and this game one has been absolutely back and forth, has been absolutely insane. Bomb Tower set up for Matea on the left-hand side, so now Mini sets up on the right-hand lane. Full setup here, trying to create a lot of troops to support the defense against whatever might come in, and that Cannon Cart being stuck there might actually slow down Matea for a minute. Let's see if Miniminter does go hard on the left-hand side for a graveyard push, and he will. Bomb Tower not going to be enough, though. Fireball should come in here very soon with the log behind, and that's going to be a GG, a well-played Matea, with a very, very nice bit of gameplay to take game number one off of Miniminter. And I have been speaking now for about 2.5 minutes straight. Cashman, are you back from your coffee?
Oh, I've been back I was just enjoying your casting. You're a pretty good caster.
Yeah, I should do it professionally or something.
Yeah, and I think this career path might be for you.
Yeah, we'll see what happens.
Yeah, every time I see Matea play, though, I am just every time he just stuns me. It's crazy that I still don't believe in Matea. Maybe I just have my doubts just because I didn't know too much about him going into the Bren Chong Cup. But every single game, even in that one, going into double elixir, Miniminter had really healthy towers on both the left and right side, and I thought, wow, this is an easy game for Miniminter, but Matea just does Matea things and just kept that pressure on. You said that Knight on defense, every single one of Matea's defense were pretty much perfect as it gets.
Yeah, and that Knight on defense was the real pretty one, right? To pull the Knight back so that the Bomb Tower would get both Knight and Cannon Cart. I don't know if that was a deciding factor, but, you know, it's hard. You have to go back in time. You have to recreate all those pieces. You know, maybe I can try to do that and inside the play and do like the backup, but that's a lot of alternate reality to try to figure out. Let's go ahead and jump into game number two. And you know what? Maybe you cast this one, and I'll get some coffee real quick.
No worries. Go get your coffee. I am going to cast it. I don't really cast the same way as you. I just kind of talk. I just do my thing like a chicken wing. It's cool that, see, Matea has a lot of confidence right now going back with the similar deck, going with the Musketeer, though, maybe instead of the Dart Goblin. No, he's going with double bait, but not the traditional one. Usually we see the Hunter in this deck. No! He's going with a totally new deck. What is Matea doing? I love this play by Matea. And the reason I like it is because right now you have an extra life. If you're Matea, you have a little bit of wiggle room to go for that risk, that crazy play. And if you get another game off Miniminter here, this is a really good situation because not only does Matea have to win one best of 5, he has to win 2 best of 5s. And winning 2 best of 5s against the best player, the #1 player coming out of the regional finals in the North American side, Miniminter, is not easy to do. So I like these crazy decks, these off meta decks, maybe getting that free win, getting your opponent maybe a little bit tilted, get them to start overthinking maybe their deck selection, and maybe, just maybe, we can see Matea bringing this, be the first player to win 2 best of 5s from one of these winners going into the losers bracket. Miniminter is going to be using the Hog EQ deck. I think we can start calling this deck EQ Hog though, because now for the most part we see EQ do the most of the damage. So Earthquake coming in, surprise, surprise, surprise. I hope I'm timed correctly. I hope this is I'm at the exact same time. I might be a little off by 1 or 2 seconds. I'm at 108, 107, so I think I'm at
maybe you were a half step early, guys. Yeah, so 105, 104, 103, 102, 101 is the timing with the hog to the left-hand side.
I am 1 second behind. Boom. I should be good now.
55, 54, 53, 52, 51. 50.
Perfect. I think I am exactly where I should be. So this is the first time. That took way too long. Apologize for that, but at the same, I am Canadian, so I apologize for pretty much everything.
Yeah, it's actually the national motto of Canada is "I'm sorry," or just sorry, just sorry. You guys don't actually say the "I'm" there.
It's weird, but we do. Like if someone bumped into me at the grocery store, I would apologize. Do you not do that?
If they bumped into me?
Yeah.
Why would I apologize for them bumping into me?
That's so weird to me because if someone bumped into me, I would say sorry, they would say sorry, and then we'd just say sorry again and walk away.
And you're what? There are times when you're like, hey, Canada's pretty gangster. There's times when you're like, God, you guys are so cute.
Oh my gosh, yeah. I don't even know where. If we had to talk about even like the rappers in Canada or the musicians representing us, it's like Drake, The Weeknd, and Justin Bieber. Not a lot of scary dudes. Not a lot of like intimidation factor there. If we rolled up, our crew's not that intimidating.
Yeah. There are about 17 Cold North jokes that are lined up there, but instead we got Clash Royale to go with, and it's a tight one here again. Matea putting Miniminter on the ropes with 90 seconds left to the 986 versus 579.
Yeah, and I like this deck. Matea's going with a meta deck with a twist. So he saw that the miner was banned, but he said, you know what? It doesn't matter. I'm going to play the deck that usually rocks the miner and just make one little change. And we see a lot of pro players do that where they take a meta deck and just change one card. And I know it sounds ridiculous, one card making that big of a difference, but I truly think it does. It really can put your opponent into an awkward situation. Maybe it becomes now a deck that they've never played, and that one card can be the difference between winning and losing.
Oh, and the wall breaker connects.
Wall breaker on the left.
Unbelievable. Yeah, trying to control here is nutty. Although, does the knight get in front of the timing with the hog was just off here. Can Miniminter control this push? He has a prince, he has wall breakers. Oh, the knight does come in at the very last second. Can he control the hunter here? Miniminter doing everything he can to control. Not going to happen. Matea goes up 2-0 and has a chance now to eliminate Miniminter and move on to our next round. Unbelievable from Matea. Oh my gosh,
is it not 2 best of 5s? I thought it was 2 best of 5s.
No, it's just it's a single best of 5 now that we're in the normal situation. The only time where it's double best of 5 is the grand finale. When we get to the winner of the winner's bracket and the winner of the lower bracket, there's the bracket in the chat for you who want to keep along. If the winner of the lower bracket wins the grand final, they rematch the best of 5. Other than that, it's all single BO5 from here on out.
Gotcha. Okay, that's good to know. I apologize, chat. That was my mistake. The rules of this tournament, I thought it was the same as yesterday, where each one had to win 2 best of 5s.
No, that was just to compensate for the imbalance of a 12-person double elimination bracket. That's all that was.
Of course.
People asking about the shades. There's a link in the chat. These are the gooders. These are the ice creams. Let me go ahead and give you guys like the full view of those ice creams. Look at those. Look at those bad boys. Ooh, that's the fire right there. Yeah. These are my favorite sunglasses. I have, like, as you'll see We're not even through the collection today, folks. We got some more to get through. But yeah, these are my favorites by far. Been wearing
I
them for
personally like
years.
those Hanukkah ones, the Hanukkah edition ones. I think you showed those off once,
worry.
and those were pretty fly.
Don't worry, we got more matches to go with. Don't you trip about it. Link in the chat if you want. Oh, that's the link for the bracket. Link in the chat if you want it. I'm a big fan of these buddies. Let's go ahead, jump into game number 3. Miniminter facing Elimination. Could be knocked out right here. What's my favorite card, John? It's the Ice Golem. Best card in the game. Trina Ruse, if you're having guys, if you are watching this on YouTube, you came here from the app in Clash Royale, you can turn off the chat on the app. You just have to press a button. I don't remember which button it is, but bring up your YouTube overlay. You can turn off the chat so it's not, quote unquote, in the way of the gameplay.
Yeah, I believe the button is just like a little, it looks like a little chat box at the top right. At least that's how it is on my phone. I don't know if it depends on the phone you're using.
And speaking of great shades, Miniminter on the right-hand side, stunting a little bit. Let's see if he can do enough to stay in this one, 1065 to 1751.
Yeah, this is not the matchup you're looking for if you're Miniminter. I personally, we've seen this Royal Giant Skeleton deck use Fireball a lot instead of Earthquake, and personally in the competitive scene I like it a lot more just because it makes your match a lot more winnable. Sure, there's a lot of matchups that might be a little bit harder, but then there's also a lot of matchups like the Royal Hogs, Royal Recruits that becomes potentially winnable. So going in with this Earthquake in your last game potentially, I really don't love this deck selection. But and not only that, but it's funny because Matea has been the one that has been rocking the Royal Giant Skeleton deck so well, correct?
Yeah, he's been playing it a whole bunch.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if Miniminter wins this, if Matea says, whoa, you're using my deck, and then pull this deck out. And if Miniminter wins this, we might see a mirror matchup, and I would love to see that.
We joked about this yesterday with Hazard on stream, but as I think Lucas was the one who tweeted it, Lucas of Pain Gaming out of Brazil, also a top tier, one of the top 2.6 players in the history of the game. Lucas was tweeting that what's the deck selection process for why is there even a deck selection process for competitive? Just play Royal Giants.
Yeah, Royal Giant or Graveyard, we see it so much, and I think even in the comments I've seen a lot of people say, what is going on with Clash Royale? And it's crazy because Graveyard even saw a pretty substantial nerf, and it's just still so good. What do we do with Graveyard? Do we have to nerf it again? What is that going to kill the card though? It seems like one of those cards that even if you nerf it, it's just so unique with its consistency where it's not going anywhere ever.
They've tried one rework, and of course, obviously that rework made it stronger rather than weaker, which was crazy.
Yeah.
You thought that it would make it weaker, but it made it more predictable in terms of how it damages. I don't really know what the solution is. Smarter people than I, or people who understand Clash better than I, have tried to find ways to figure out what to do about it. You know, one of the options is to make it so that the skeletons spawn completely predictably rather than randomly. That raises its own host of problems potentially, though.
Yeah, because then how do you make that pattern? You have to make that pattern, I guess, easy to defend or harder to defend. But if you got to find that sweet spot, and there's another hurdle that you have to figure out if you're the balance team. I'm glad I'm not part of the balance team because talking about just how diverse the competitive scene is and how crazy ladder is from low to high. I know Mega Knight and mid ladder is ridiculous, but we don't see it at all in competitive. Well, we see it a little bit in competitive. It doesn't sound like a fun task.
Yeah, no, it's I don't envy their position whatsoever. I don't envy Miniminter right now either. Facing Elimination, this Graveyard doing work on the on the right-hand side, poison in, and this is going to put him basically in range to be done. He has to get a Royal Giant on tower right now and beat out the next poison. And I don't know if he can. A good prediction, Barbara to the left-hand side, but Cage pulls. EQ down. Can the RG get there and get 2 shots? Needs 2.
Oh.
To make it even close. Can't happen. Needed 3 to kill, but 2 to make it close. And instead, that's a 3-0. Matea says, no, Miniminter. You are not doing a repeat of the All-Stars event. And Matea, an open qualifier player, now makes it to the top 4. Wow.
Wow, indeed. I guess I'm disappointed for Miniminter because we saw him get one win against Michifu and then get 3-0'd against Matea. So maybe we saw him a little tilted after playing against Michifu because that didn't look like the Miniminter we saw in I guess the previous days of the World Finals and especially in the regional finals. He looked unstoppable. He beat players like Air Surfer, and Air Surfer is a scary player to play against, and he made it look easy.
Well, Mini's run through All-Stars was even more impressive. There isn't a top tier player in the West that Mini didn't run through, it feels like, during that All-Stars event. Fell into the lower bracket, had to fight his way on through. Man, like Mini's run there, Mini's really, really talented, which speaks even more to how well Matea's playing. And again, I want to remind you guys of this one. Matea is an open qualifier player who is now one win away from making the prize pool. He had to play through an open 1,000-person tournament, make I think it was top 8. It was either top 8 or top 16 for those. Go through and make top 2 of that bracket, then go through the group stage and the regional finals and all that. That's the road that Matea's had to get here. It is so long and so hard, and now he's one best of 5 away from 3,500 euros. That's really cool.
I wonder whose qualifying tournament he qualified through.
I'm not entirely sure. I don't think it was it must have been. He played in the European region. Must have been one of the European qualifiers.
Oh, you're right. He is from the Europe side. That's right.
Yeah.
Serbia. My mistake.
So there you go. We have 3 of our final 4. Matea is going to have a tough out no matter who he plays. Mugi versus Wallace elimination match coming up. One of those 2 will be out. The winner will face Matea, and Matea will have probably the most stressful and insane best of 5 of his entire life. He will have to either beat Mugi or Wallace to make the top 3 and make the prize pool, and either one of those is a world-class, insanely difficult out to get done.
Yeah, I agree with that totally, but with what Matea has done, I don't think he's worried. I think he has confidence behind him. He's proved himself against the best of the best. It's crazy to say, but I'm not worried for him. The person I'm really worried for right now is Mugi, because Mugi struggled against Samuel Bassotto. And Wallace, very similar to Samuel Bassotto, I think is nearly just as good. So this could be an interesting situation for Mugi. If he didn't put in his research, his due diligence on Samuel Bassotto and Wallace as well, this could be another quick set.
Well, Wallace is interesting because I would not say that I wouldn't say Wallace and Samuel are similar players stylistically.
No.
Samuel is a cycle player, a micro player. What makes Wallace great is he is one of the best players in macro in the entire game. He understands matchups, not just how to get a good matchup, because that's just do you pick well, but he understands how to play matchups very well. Mm-hmm. So it's not about managing tiny interactions for Wallace, it's about managing the overall game, which is the thing that he usually succeeds with, but currently, from whatever starting hand situation, does not have the DPS response for this Royal Giant. And yeah, you see what's going on here. No, this was not the greatest deck picking situation, and you can see he was kind of stuck between a rock and a hard place in that one.
Yikes, that is not the start you want, especially against a player like Mugi. Most likely, I can't see Mugi. I've seen him play this deck so many times, and with having the Hunter and the Zappies on defense and all of his other cards, he should be able to defend this relatively easily. I'm pretty confident with Mugi's defense, but I do agree with the whole Wallace point that you made, where he's just he's really good. He's a very versatile player, and he knows the matchups. And I think the way I kind of got that was proven to me was we saw him play a mirror matchup with Lava Hound in the regional finals, and he knew exactly what to do in a lava miner matchup. And I think the thing that kind of spoke to me was the barbs at the bridge. We like knowing there's certain little plays that are really, really good, but the only way you know that play is good is if you played that matchup time and time again. So we've seen him do really, really well with the archetype like beatdown, like lava. I guess lava miner might be a little bit more control-esque, but he can pretty much play every deck, and that could be scary for a player like Mugi.
And this is brutal. You're seeing someone in the chat called it out too, and once you see the pieces there, Prince is that last card. So it looks like Prince might have been the 8th card in Wallace's deck. So his primary DPS, the real only viable way to get that Royal Giant off the board from the open, was absolutely buried. So starting hand, people can talk about matchup all they want. Starting hand is almost a more significant issue in terms of balancing matchups than anything else.
Yeah, that's part of the reason why we don't see Jupiter King here. The amount of times I was streaming it, people asked about Jupiter King. Well, he went up against the Lion. It was a mirror matchup and didn't have the opening hand. And because he didn't have the right opening hand, we saw him lose. Sure, you can say there was other matches prior to that that would maybe make a difference. But still, it's one matchup, especially in this format where it's a best of 5 against the best player in the world. If you don't have, if any little issue happens, either being Wi-Fi or opening hand or maybe a little bit of drop delay, that could be the difference between being out and not getting that $40,000.
Yeah.
Or euros.
Yeah, it's so brutal. It's so brutal. And, you know, you're looking at that Royal Giant aggressive early, and you're like, I have a thing that can kill a Royal Giant. Can it please get here? Can it
Where is that
please
thing?
give me my prince? And, yeah, just absolutely buried. So a rough opening hand there for Wallace. Mugi takes game number 1. GG, well played. And just as we're talking about Wallace being good at managing the macro of a game, where we see the game itself kind of not allowing him to get into that macro conversation. So rough one there, but nice win for Mugi. And of course, either one of these two guys winning a best of 5, you're not sad about either of these two moving on. And, you know, back to the conversation you're having before about Mateja. I mean, Mateja's been really solid, played some great Clash Royale. I think that there's a difference, and he's played with big streams so far, right? He's been fine on the big stage. If you look at all the different languages, there are tens of thousands of people watching this across multiple languages in total.
Easily.
Watching him play for $3,500 against one of the two, against either one of these guys is, you know, a top 10, easily top 20, but maybe top 10 guy right now, with the way Wallace has been playing through the end of 2020 into now. And then Mugi, of course, is an absolute beast. I think the nerves will be pretty high for Matea, no matter who he faces here.
Yeah, I could definitely see that. And out of all the players, I guess, that qualified, maybe players that I didn't know too much about going into the Bren Chong Cup, I think Matea was probably number 2 for me. The person that was most surprising for me was actually Michifu, also known as Grico in this tournament. But sadly, he was 15. It came out that he was 15, and he was disqualified because of it. So Matea, technically, in my opinion, has been the player that has impressed me the most, and that's why I like the Bren Chong Cup, having this open qualifiers, giving someone the opportunity to make that jump from rising star or maybe even unknown to that star level player. It's awesome.
Yeah, it's very, very cool, and this is definitely... Mateja's been a guy I've had my eye on for a long time. You know, he's been in a lot of the semi-pro and smaller tournaments. Has played a bunch of events.
King Tower activation.
Wow, what a pretty King Tower activation there. Those King Tower activations against Miner with Fishboy are a lot harder to do now than they were with that extended range.
Yes, I thought the positioning was actually on the opposite side of the back of the tower. I've seen people do it on the opposite side. I didn't know you could do it on the close side, the side like closest to the Princess Tower. That is a very, very cool interaction. That's something I'm probably going to use in the future.
Miner into the safe spot. Wall breakers high will be taken care of fairly easily by Wallace this time out.
I'm feeling very, very good for Wallace in this situation. He's been playing really, really well on defense, and once we get into double elixir, definitely triple elixir, we're going to see Royal Giant at the back. It's right now, Royal Giant at the back. We're going to see him just get to another Royal Giant either on the left or right side, just either having 2 on one side or splitting them up, and this is where we're going to have to see if Mugi has that, if he can defend this. This is not going to be easy, but if anybody can do it, I think Mugi can.
Yeah, and we'll see. Wall breakers to the right-hand lane does get one connection. And Royal Giant to the left-hand lane, and a second Royal Giant down. So the stack right now coming in the left-hand lane, and an absolutely brutal stack for Mugi to deal with, but defends it well. Bats high, and no way to deal with the bats with the Electro Spirit and maybe not being available in time. So instead, Royal Giant's
maybe a little bit of a misplay there, because he went Royal Giant into another Royal Giant, but the one Royal Giant was getting hit by the bomb tower, and before even the other Royal Giant could get to the bomb tower, it was getting that splash damage from the bomb tower and already lost a quarter, maybe even a third of its HP.
Now switches lanes to the opposite side. RG going the other direction. Skeletons and Electro Spirit there to control the spears on that left-hand side. So Mugi going with the most popular version of Miner Wall Breakers, the one that people now in the global tournament are straight up just making counter decks to. I ran into one yesterday where someone was running a pure snipe to this deck specifically because it's so insanely popular in the global tournament right now. And so far, Mugi playing it very, very well, controlling against these Royal Giants.
finally gets the breakthrough going with the right and the left Royal Giant. And I think that's what he has to do in this matchup. He's not going to win by overwhelming Mugi just because of he can go with those high bomb towers. And even if he goes with a high bomb tower, the death damage of the bomb tower is going to be able to help. He has the fireball, he has the log. I think this is what Wallace has to do in this matchup, is go left, go right, and make sure he gets a lot of value for these fishermen. Right when this hunter, or right when the hunter, or no, not the hunter, the knight comes down, making sure you grab that knight, and also making sure you get that electro spirit on the bats as soon as possible.
Hunter does get on the bats this time though, so that works out very well. And again, lane split here. This time a fisherman does get on the knight. Electro Spirit high, gets taken off by your brilliant log by Mugi on the left-hand side. So Wallace is doing all the right things here, but Mugi's doing more right things in the moment.
The problem is, you look at it and it's triple elixir. You can get more Royal Giants, you can get more this, more that, but the problem is Mugi can also get more logs, more bomb towers, more bats, more this, more defense. And it's just hard to break through. Bomb Tower is one of those cards where it could sneakily be one of the most broken cards in the game. It's so durable on defense, and especially with the Death Bomb, it's a very versatile card.
And with how fast Mugi's getting around right now, Miner goes to the back on the left-hand side, Wall Breaker's connecting the right-hand side. Wallace happy to eat those Wall Breakers given the situation. Royal Giant in on the right, Fireball in to get on the defense here. I don't think he can get this Royal Giant down. This is going to be Mugi taking a 2-0 lead here. GG, well played. Mugi now 1 win away from making it to our top 4.
That was incredible. The defense from Mugi there, and every single time. It's weird that I'm surprised. I've seen so many of his games, but that defense, if any of us, if you, me, or even some of the viewers played that matchup, that's not easy to do. Every single time he played a card, he was getting value with the card. He never over committed on defense. He kept putting pressure as well. So his opponent, which in this situation was Wallace, had to spend elixir on defense, couldn't focus all on his offense. That was perfect play by Mugi, and it's crazy that every single time he pulls through.
Yeah, and there's the link for you, Diego, for the Spanish chat. If you want to go ahead and watch the Spanish stream as well, that's on Twitch rather than on YouTube. And I see what I believe is AC in the chat, so we'll see if he's awake enough to come join us here on the stream. For now, let's go ahead and jump into game number 3. Mugi with a chance to sweep Wallace 1-2-3 and take a spot in the top 4 would be 1 win away from qualifying for that prize pool.
Wow, I'm surprised Wallace, he's either going for 2 decks right now. He's going Lava Miner, which I think is a good matchup against Mugi, or it looks like he's going with Graveyard, and I'm not surprised. We see Wallace do this a lot when his back against the wall, going with Graveyard. It's going to be the Archers, Cannon Cart, Knight, Fireball, Snowball version with Bomb Tower. It's a good deck, a lot of outplay ability, but I think this is showing a little bit of fear out of Wallace. He's kind of, if we're looking at like an animal resemblance, it's kind of like a hermit crab. He's shelling up. He's going to something comfortable, and I don't know if maybe these nerves are kicking in. Maybe it's the name brand, but this is not looking good for Wallace.
You know, we got to ask that question, and let me go ahead and get you the clean feed so that you're all caught up here. But AC, do you agree with Cashman? Is Wallace here maybe starting to turtle up and play nervous?
I mean, if one of the announcers can talk about like, oh, he's gonna be running Graveyard in these situations, and then he does, like, you could definitely argue that.
Guys, welcome to the chat here. We have a 3-man commentary booth joining myself and Cashman, one of your favorites, a finalist here in this event. Of course, CRL Western champion, CRL North American champion, World Cyber Games champion, 6'3", is that right? Or 6 foot 2? 6'2". I mean, member of the vaunted Stingrays Soccer Club. It's crap, new CRL caster in the building. Let's go.
Yeah, I actually did used to go by 6'3", but like that was just like a complete lie, and I felt like I would go to a just regular lie and stick with 6'2".
I just DM'd you the clean feed link in Twitter, so go ahead and jump on that one so you have that ready to rock. And yeah, we have a 3-man team here. An online 3-man team. We'll see how it goes, but I'm happy to have both of you guys here.
Okay, for sure. What time are you guys at?
37, 36, 35, 34, 33. 32.
I'm at
31.
24 right now, so we still got some more counting.
There we go. 25, 24,
Perfect.
23. Boom! We're all together. Guys, the three of us together. All the feeds are in sync. We got a huge group of people watching, having a great time with Clash Royale. This is what a Sunday is all about.
What could get
Can't think of
better?
a better Sunday. Football as well tonight too. Super Bowl.
What's that?
What?
Here we go. Sudden death overtime on its way. Mugi pitching a near shutout here. Only 21-87 on the right-hand side. AC, is there any way back for Wallace right now?
Well, I mean, Graveyard you can really never count out. Sometimes, like, whenever he can get the Giant Skeleton out of cycle, that's when he really has a shot. But the fact that he also has that Hunter is just going to make it just so difficult to be able to do anything with that. And the way Mugi's playing, you know, I just woke up, but even I can tell that this dude, like, he wants it. And so, technically the answer is yes, but really the answer is no.
A technical yes, but a realistic no, although 17-18 on the right-hand side. Wallace making the argument for it here. Cannon cart to the right-hand side, a minute 15 remaining, and poison cycle in. And, you know, Cash, you were talking about the idea that maybe he was playing a little bit scared here and going to Comfort. But at the moment, Comfort's at least keeping him in the game for the moment.
Yeah, this is exactly what this deck does. This deck excels on defense, and now that you're in triple elixir, you can just go more and more and more graveyard. I wonder if the last card of Mugi is Earthquake, because if it's Earthquake, it should be really good for Mugi, just kind of focusing on defense and getting that a lot of damage in those last dying seconds. If it's Fireball, I'm surprised he hasn't played it yet, so I'm going to go with it's Earthquake. It has to be, but even using Earthquake on defense against a graveyard that maybe gets out of control, it looks like Mugi has this game locked up. I don't know how he loses this.
6:58 remaining on the left-hand side. Final 30 seconds. Giant Skeleton sets the line high with the Zappy behind. Bar Barrel cleans up, and that's so much cleanup. And you see, even able to go a little bit high there with the Hunter on that inside corner for defense with all the support. And this should be enough. Fireball in on the left-hand lane. And this should be a GG, well played. Not enough time for a graveyard to get down. Mugi fires back after losing to one Brazilian, takes out the other, and is now in the top 4 and 1 win away from making that prize pool.
Wow, he makes it look easy.
Makes it look
Mugi.
easy. You know, we were talking about this, AC, the other day with Hazard on what makes certain players great, and Wallace, what makes him really great. We talked about was he's a great macro player in the game, really understands how to play matchups really well. In your opinion, what makes Mugi one of the top 3 in the world?
I mean, raw talent, you definitely have to look at. I mean, this was a guy who was finishing top 10 globally. This was a year ago, but he was finishing top 10 globally while only playing the final 3 days of the ladder season, while also using decks he's never practiced before. He's always had just a phenomenal level. And then when it comes to CRL and practicing with one of the greatest, you know, dynasties to ever play the game with Ponos, you know, it's just going to make him better. It's going to make him, you know, ready to compete in all these competitions. I mean, it's just a combination of everything that makes him one of the greatest players in the game.
And here you go. We're going to see Bale. We are going to get some nice little breakdown of replays here in a moment. And take a look at this action on the left-hand side. This is the minor wall breakers matchup with
Is this
Wallace.
King Tower activation?
This I think this is going to be that King Tower activation. You see that it's still not active yet. So this should be a minor to the front of the tower. And there you go. Minor to the front inside corner. The Skellies don't pick up. And so, again, you see the fisherman behind. AC, we were talking about this. We thought that wasn't the placement for this King Tower activation.
Honestly, I can't even speak on the King Tower activation because I feel like it might be somewhat RNG. Every once in a while, I know that like the correct placement doesn't even work. So it's just something I don't even use really. So yeah, I get why you guys are struggling to answer that part.
And let's see if I can have. You know what? I linked them together. I'm trying to make sure that I get both. I'm trying to get both you guys on here, but I did it the wrong way. Let me go ahead and remove this and try it a different way here. But he's taking a look. Look at that trophy there. Beautiful, beautiful shot of the trophy. And right now I'm trying to go ahead and make sure I can get both you guys. So we tell everyone, people, who's on the chat right now, who's there. Well, one of those guys is, of course, AC, and the other one, my boy Cashman. And let's see if I have them both on there. Boom! Now you guys are both on that screen at least. I'll have to go and fix it on this screen as well. So I'll get the AC banner somewhere on here in just a minute. But now we're getting down to our final portion of the bracket, our top 8. And Michifu versus Samuel Bassotto will be the winner's bracket final. Of course, the loser is not out. The loser has one more loss to give. They are both guaranteed top 3. The lower bracket final is Matea versus Mugi. And if you're Matea right now, you got to feel like, hey, if I lose here, there's no big loss. Like, you can't feel bad about a loss to Mugi. But, I mean, the idea of getting this far and falling just one best of 5 short, it's kind of a poison pill to swallow there, Cash.
Yeah, I think all these players have one goal in mind right now, and that is just to win. And it's not, I don't think it's totally about the money. I think there is a lot, I don't know if there's a technical term. I don't know if this is the street term, but clout, or as someone I heard say clout. I think that was OJ in one of his videos. I think everybody's just gunning for #1 right now. And if you're looking at it, I think it's totally open. Even if you're looking at the losers bracket or the winners bracket, all 4 of these players are some of the best in Clash Royale easily. And I think it's just going to come down to, I guess, mentality, matchup, and just misplays. Wait, were those all M's? The 3 M's of Clash Royale. I'm trademarking that right now.
You know what? It's yours. I might steal it for CRL at some point. The 3 M's: mentality, matchup, and misplays. But yeah, no, I'll have to give you the love when I do put it on. You'll get a CRL shout out for that one.
I'll take it. That's hilarious. Yeah, the 3 M's of Clash Royale. I'm gonna add that to my Twitter bio.
Speaking of Clash Royale commentary, for those of you in the chat who didn't already see the announcement, as we're waiting for our next matchup, which should be the winner's bracket final, I think is what's up next. But if you don't know, talking about our co-casters, and I need to go ahead and get the second graphic on here in just a moment. But joining us in the booth, AC announced just a couple of days ago, or maybe announced yesterday, that AC joining the Clash Royale League commentary booth alongside myself, Andrew Guy, and EB7 Eric Benamu. So going to get some pro-level commentary joining us for this 2021 year.
Can I ask a question?
Ask away.
Are you asking me or Rich?
Yeah, no, AC. Because you're a caster, does that mean you're not going to compete?
Yeah, that's exactly what it means.
No way. Are you kidding me? So this is, I guess, the retirement of AC from competitive.
Yep. I mean, I might mess around with like random tournaments, but this was my last hurrah. This was my last this was my last competition.
Hey, I think it was a pretty good way to go out. You absolutely dominated, especially running through that losers bracket like you did. That sucks. I didn't realize that. I saw the tweet and I was really happy to see that you were part of the casting team, but I thought, wait, if you're casting, can you play and cast at the same time? That is heartbreaking.
Yeah, I've definitely been told to ask, but I don't really want to. Honestly, I'm like so happy to be able to do what I've wanted to do. I've talked about it a little bit on my stream. Like when I was young, and people would ask me what I wanted to do, it was to be like an NFL commentator. Mm-hmm. I love the idea of like commentating over games and just talking about what I'm passionate about. And so I will miss competing a little bit, but I just can't tell you how excited I am to just commentate and sit back and relax.
Thinking about
That's
excitement,
awesome.
You got to think
Congrats.
about Mateja's excitement right now. Currently holding on pretty nicely in the opening moments against Mugi, although those two, maybe a third Royal Giant shot, certainly changed that math a fair bit. 1370 right-hand side. Mugi way ahead. AC, talk to me about this matchup a little bit. Hunter, Ewiz, and Fireball. Feels like a lot of options to deal with the Lava Hound as time goes on.
Yeah, even with bats, where you only have Hunter bats, it's still a pretty easy win for him. Ewiz does change the matchup, and instead of it being an 80-20, it becomes a 95-5.
Wow.
He just has to apply a lot of pressure, keep the Ewiz alive as long as he can, but mainly as long as he gets the Hunter to put in work every single time. It should just be easy cleanups. as long as he hits his fireballs, really.
And that's it. You miss one fireball, you can throw the game, but as long as you don't make that mistake, you're in pretty good shape.
Absolutely.
Little delay here, guys, with the Spanish stream, but we're good. Back on track. Go ahead, Cash.
Yeah, AC, you played this matchup with Royal Giant. Like, you were Mugi in this situation, and you won. Are you saying that the matchup's for Mugi, right?
Yeah.
Is there anything that Matea could do to, like, put you in an awkward situation right now and potentially win?
Okay, I will say, I was trying my absolute hardest, and I was with Air Surfer on call. I was doing whatever I could to, like, put myself in a position to win yesterday. And I mean, we were not talking about the game. I mean, we were messing around. We were just having fun. This is not a matchup that you can really, like, win whatsoever.
Wow.
So
I didn't realize it was that polarized.
We'll see if at some point Mugi makes a mistake. Opening a little bit of a door here with that damage and that exchange and the Royal Giant down. Matea needs to figure out, and this is the hard part, right, is that it feels like Mugi really has the choice of when and where he wants to spend Fireball and isn't really concerned, like, isn't super concerned about it.
Yeah, just with all the pressure, he really just can't do much. The barbs on top, he gives way too much spell value whenever he gets like an actual defense going, and then the counter pushes are always just taken out pretty easily.
So there you go, big game one win there for Mugi. And Matea got to be feeling the nerves. And I wonder, you know, like sometimes players say they don't really feel nervous, but I feel like most players, AC, you know, you have 4,000 to 5,000 people, give or take, depending, watching here in English alone. I know Spanish is probably at, 78,000 or whatever crazy numbers Spanish is doing in Clash Royale these days. You got to feel like Matea is probably feeling the pressure pretty heavily. I don't care who you are. I got to feel like nerves come into play here.
Yeah, look, the first 3 or 2.5 years of CRL, every single time I would step up and I would get extremely, extremely nervous. And then I think it was like the final season, maybe season and a half, where it didn't really affect me as much. If you are fresh to the scene, fresh to competing in these like huge tournaments, it is absolutely going to affect you. It's going to affect your deck decision, your playing, your thought process throughout the games. I mean, it's hard to not care about what people are thinking, and even that is going to really distract you and make you play a lot, just you're not going to play your absolute best. And so that's what he really needs to control right now. Otherwise, it's just going to be too difficult for him to come back and win this.
Here we go, game number 2. Mugi with the advantage. Minor is the ban from Matea. And, speaking from looking at Matea's deck pool so far, I guess, Cash, we're looking at this matchup between these two players, and it feels like Matea just wants to take some quick cycle options away from Mugi and maybe slow the game down a bit.
Yeah, and I think that's a great idea. Do you know what's one? I guess I saw the Barbara and I saw the Baby Dragon. It made me kind of remember this one deck that we haven't seen in a while that we saw a lot at the beginning was Electro Giant. AC, is there any reason why we stopped seeing Electro Giant in the World Finals?
Yeah, so basically, Electro Giant, phenomenal deck. Against 70% of the decks, it has either matchup or 50-50, and you can easily outplay. It's a very, very solid deck. There is 30% of the decks in the game right now where you just don't have a shot. If you use Electro Giant against Matea's deck, right now you would have a 0% shot. They can stack giant skeletons, they can bomb tower and NATO and all these kind of different ways to defend, and you just absolutely can't get through. And a lot of these players are going to be the best players in the world, and so if you're telling them, oh, you have a 30% chance to just lose outright once you start this game, they're just not going to want to run those decks.
Yeah, it's just too risky. We saw it with Mortar Graveyard as well. That matchup has to be 100-0. I haven't seen anybody get close to losing that matchup as a Mortar Graveyard player against Electro Giant. So I guess that makes sense. You want to pick a deck that's very, I guess, well versatile in the meta, and not only that, but like has I guess a lot of okay matchups. No 100-0s, no 0-100s. You just want those like 50-50 kind of matchups.
It feels like Electro Giant at this point, as you guys are talking about it, is definitely one of those ones where if you feel like you have really excellent analysis, there might be a spot to pull the trigger. But you better be on that AC during the group stage and championship level analysis game. Shout out, shout out to your analysis team.
Yep, shout out to Julesy. He was the only one doing it, and he did a phenomenal job. I was very proud of him.
Graveyard into the left-hand side. Snowball making some room. NATO has to come out in order to support that defense against the Graveyard. Still, the lead almost changes hands, 1481 to 1464, as we are just 20 seconds away from sudden death.
Am I missing something? This should be a really easy matchup for Mugi, no?
Okay, so for Matea, he can technically overwhelm possibly and put him in some kind of tough spots. Like, I love this, right? If Mugi is going in with not so stellar pushes, he can get away with just pressuring opposite lane and being able to take, possibly get like an extra shot with a balloon. But you're absolutely correct. It's super difficult for him. As long as Mugi is like careful and cautious, and obviously he's going to understand exactly how he's supposed to play this matchup 2 seconds into the game, he should have this one for sure.
How far ahead?
How close this game is. Got to shout out Matea for what he's doing right now. It's really impressive.
Well, that's the power of Balloon. And, you know, it's one of those things where we talked about that before in the last matchup that was pretty much unwinnable for Matea. That third M of mistakes, to quote you there, Cashman. And Mugi is not someone. I mean, you can record his mistakes, his misplays, probably on one hand, as far as I'm thinking about it.
Easily. I've watched I've watched actually every single one of his games in the Bren Chong Cup, and there was a time where I thought it was a mistake, but no, actually it was a great play and was the reason why he won one of his games. So it's one of those things where Mugi potentially could be a robot. It has not been confirmed yet. It's just one of my Clash Royale theories, but I wouldn't be surprised if it came out that he was just ones and zeros.
It's not impossible. 1198 to 1079. Final 40 seconds. Graveyard in. Giant Skeleton will pick up the cannon cart. Lumberjack working on the back end here. Snowball's going to make some room. So this is a frustrating situation here for Matea because he's going to defend this Graveyard well, but the counter push is going to go into the lane where he does not have the damage.
Yeah, but if he gets one balloon drop, I don't think it's going to happen just with all the resources Mugi has, but all you need is one. That's just how Balloon is. And not only that, but a lot of people mentioned the death damage of the Balloon, just it being maybe a little too much right now, where a lot of people just win with death damage alone. But it looks futile right now. There's no way. The
bomb tower gets down in time, cycles well in triple elixir, and Mugi holds on by a few hundred HP to take game number 2 and is now 1 away from making that top 3.
Yeah, I think this is where we're gonna figure out what Matea is truly about. If he has that competitiveness in him, if he has that mentality to overcome a deficit against one of the best players in the world. You're down 2-0. This is where we're gonna find out if he's a diamond. He's under the pressure right now, and he's gonna have to. It's either he's gonna break, or we might see maybe, just maybe, a little bit of a comeback.
It's not impossible, and I'm gonna try to figure out how to. I have to do some resizing here to get the two of you in on this screen. People who are asking, co-casters are Cashman. Follow him on Twitch for a whole lot of fun, and of course YouTube as well, and then also regularly on Twitch all the time, AC. So that is the full 3-man commentary booth. Let me get these things nice and organized there. There you go. Now we have our full. For those of you guys who want to know, just look in the bottom corner of the screen, and then you guys will be able to follow along with what's happening. Here we go. Game number 3. Action moving quickly, and it is Mugi with match point here. Do you bet, AC, you know, Mugi has been holding on to his bans lately. Do you think if Matea does take the win here that Mugi just goes ahead and doesn't and goes with no ban again?
I mean, I could really see that happening. When you have a ton of confidence in your gameplay, sometimes you don't want to mess with anything. And so obviously with Mugi, he's going to be having confidence whenever he's playing this game. And I could easily see him just trying to hold out and not trying to ban anything whatsoever.
How much does having been on that big global stage, right? We watched Mugi play during CRL World Finals, and this is a pretty nice push. You're going to get a good chunk of damage, and a late freeze-in from Matea. Wow! Tower down. Matea says, I am not going down without a fight, and takes an early, dirty tower off of Mugi.
I love it. I absolutely love it. Going with the crazy, going with that meta deck with a twist. We've seen him do this a couple of times now. We saw him with that minor wall breaker Mega Knight deck go, instead of when the minor was banned, go with the Goblin Barrel. So meta deck with a twist, and maybe this is how you could beat Mugi.
Look, I love that decision from Matea. You have to understand that, you know, your opponent might be a little bit better, and what you need to be doing in these situations is potentially just trying to steal a win. And so using a Graveyard Freeze deck, using Balloon Freeze, like, I love these deck choices out of him, because it allows him to just have one win where he can just easily get that, and then at that point he only has to win 2. His opponent only has to win the 3rd. I think it's a great deck choice, and that's exactly what he needs to do to get back into this game.
Well, that's one of those questions. We're talking about picking decks that that don't have 100-0 or 0-100 matchups, stuff like that. I'm wondering if the play here from Matea is to try to go for those kind of matchups here, right? Is to go with decks that are coin flips, because the reality is it's unlikely you're going to outplay Mugi in more than one game, or even in one game, to be honest. And that there's a you can count on one hand, maybe 2 hands at most, people who are going to outplay Mugi in any given situation. I love the deck choice here, and I wonder if he goes with similar concepts in terms of going for matchup from here on forward.
Yeah, I totally agree.
I'm thinking, you know, Lava Clone, any kind of freeze deck.
3M.
Those are all 3M.
Elixir Golem, Battle Healer, who knows?
Spell Cycle, we don't know. But I love that deck choice, and it's going to be interesting to see what he wants to do game 4. I can't. He's definitely not going to do it both games, for game 4 and for game 5. One of them is going to be a legit deck where he feels well versed. He understands exactly how he's supposed to play each matchup, and then we could easily see another deck like that one where he's just trying to take a win.
Yeah, it's a challenging question, right? We go back to CRL World Finals, and I was bringing up a question about Mugi there. We'll get back to in a moment. But you know, you talk about Kuchiku's win over Mugi at CRL World Finals, and it really felt like Team Queso in that moment said, "Look, Kuchi's not gonna out micro Mugi right now. Let's go ahead and give him a chance to take the win." And it felt like Team Queso kind of shot the moon and gave Kuchiku a chance to get matchup. And he got a great one against Mugi, got a big win against Mugi. And it feels like if there's a way that you're going to do it, I feel that that's the way here.
Yeah, and don't hate me, Chad. Don't, you know, I will say, not only did they get like a good matchup with that, but I really think Kuchi outplayed him in that matchup. I know it's gross to say that, but I think he was outplayed, and not only did he get like a good matchup, I think Kuchiku deserved the win right there.
Look, no one's saying Kuchiku didn't deserve to take that win, but definitely good game planning from Team Queso overall in that situation. One more link here for Cashman, and I need to go ahead and add you to the links there at some point, AC, although I think a lot of people here do know you as well. You know, talking about back to Mugi, and AC, this is a question for you. We saw Mugi deal with some nerves at World Finals. We saw him give the team come in and give him big, a lot of support. We saw him take deep breaths, blow out a lot of nerves here and there. Obviously, big nerves on that stage. How much does that allow you to play in this situation with more calm?
Well, that's a great question, really.
Let's put it this way: how much less nervous did you feel in the CRL 2019 West season playing live, having already played in front of 1,000 people in Tokyo?
Yeah, I mean, once you have, really it comes down to when it's the first time doing anything, it's going to be the most difficult. It's going to be, you're going to be the most nervous for it. And when you have that experience with by far the biggest stage out there, everything kind of seems simple at that point. So it's definitely going to help him out a ton, having that experience. And honestly, I would be shocked if we see him get nervous for any of these games. Even if he wins this and then has to do the losers final, even if he wins the losers final, I don't think we're going to see him get nervous whatsoever.
6 Loon for Mugi in this one. Haven't seen a ton of this.
Is this a GG well played? Can Mugi lose this matchup? Isn't this just 100-0?
If it's Earthquake, it should be extremely difficult. If it's Fireball, he definitely... Oh, I just realized it's Earthquake. Yeah. This is going to be difficult, for sure.
Yeah, this is not the matchup you're looking for, because you don't really have the greatest way to pull the recruits into the middle. He doesn't have the Goblin Cage or any other. I guess he could use the Zappies in the middle, but that's something you want to use. It's going to be hard for him to get this Hunter on the balloon, and if he does, then just Snowball comes in, pushes it away. This looks awful for Matea.
Inferno Dragon to the left-hand side. We haven't seen a ton of Six Loom. This deck, obviously variations of this deck were huge in the fall of 2020, but it kind of seems like it's fallen out of favor in the last couple of months.
Yeah, I think it's probably just because of how often like Fireball is subbed into these kind of decks, how often like it just doesn't get the correct matchup that you're looking for. But right here, Cash is exactly correct. Like, I think this is, I don't know if this is like exactly what they were prepping for, and then, you know, they got exactly what they were looking for. But this is gonna be an extremely good matchup, and, you know, he was exactly correct when he said all you gotta do is Snowball, really.
Yeah, and then death damage comes in again. That's something. Look at the right side too. These Royal recruits are pretty much going to take this tower. Whoa! And there it is.
Royal recruits doing a ton on the right-hand side. Tower down. 25 seconds left. 23 seconds left, and that's the last 23 seconds for Matea in this tournament. Unbelievably well played, and honestly, overperformed expectations. An open qualifier player making it to the top 4. I doubt that that's going to be much consolation for him, having been 2 games away from the prize pool.
Yeah, this is I didn't want to interrupt you guys when you guys were talking, but I was going to do a little game or predict what Matea's deck was going to be, and I was going to predict this deck. This is the deck we've seen him dominate so much in this Bren Chong Cup with, and he's beaten really hard matchups before. I was really impressed. And going back to what I said with Wallace, I think he went to a comfort deck here. He wasn't going to go with those too crazy. We weren't going to see him come out with another freeze deck. We saw him go to a comfort deck like AC expected. And not the matchup, maybe a predictable situation because Mugi got the matchup. And against Mugi, a player, a 50-50 matchup against Mugi is hard enough as it is. But if Mugi has I think that's easily 70-30. That's a layup.
Yeah, it's pretty nasty there for Mugi in this situation. And now we have our top 3. We have our prize pool, at least. We know the 3 players who will be in it. Top 3, and this feels like a top 3 who could be the final 3 for CRL World Finals in this 2021 season. It's going to be Michifu and Samuel Bassotto playing right now in the winner's bracket final. Winner is guaranteed at least 2nd place. And then Mugi now waiting in the elimination bracket final. He's guaranteed at least 3rd place, but this does feel like it could be what we see at the end of 2021, AC.
Yeah, you do remember me saying, oh, I'm predicting Michi to at least get a top 3. We could see some top 5s. I feel so good about that earlier prediction. And yeah, Samuel Bassotto, obviously extremely, extremely talented. Does well with his nerves, has so many decks that he can run, and just phenomenal with just, you know, cycle in general. Yeah. And then obviously Mugi, we just saw what he did. We've seen what he's done for the last 2-3 years, and yeah, all 3 of them are phenomenal. All 3 of them easily could be crowned world champion next or at the end of this year.
Yeah, it's all 3 certainly at that level. And, you know, talk about these 3. Also, it's 3 of the biggest countries in terms of Clash Royale. You have Samuel Bassotto from Brazil, Michifu from Spain, and then Mugi from Japan. So you have 3 really central communities for Clash Royale overall represented here in this final. So there's something really cool about that, right? Where Japan obviously has such a huge Clash Royale scene that we did the first ever World Finals in Tokyo. Spain obviously has been a backbone for Clash Royale. And then Brazil is just absolutely massive. Remember, 3 Brazilians made the top 8 here. We are, though, down to the last one. Your former teammate, Space Station Gaming, Samuel Bassotto, up against Michifu, 2 absolute ladder masters going head-to-head in this best of 5. So let's start with some predictions here in this one. It's early, and of course we are getting some looks at the matchup. Looks like Michi might be going with just Mortar EQ. Cashman, thoughts on this BO5 overall?
I'm very, very excited. I have a piece of paper that says don't count out Samuel Bassotto. I think I could easily put in Michifu. His deck pool is just very, very, very versatile. And with these cycle decks, we're seeing the cycle god Samuel Bassotto go up against, I think, someone that we should be talking about in the conversation for his cycle ability. In this matchup, though, I think I've seen this matchup before, though. I've seen Michifu win this matchup. I don't know how he does it. So I don't want to say he's going to lose it, but it's got to be a good matchup. If you're Samuel Bassotto, you're loving this matchup. Graveyard's not super easy to deal with. Not only that, but the Spear Goblins that are going to come down to defend are always going to get snowballed, which not only takes out the Spear Goblins, but also damages your opponent's tower, but also slows the attack speed of your opponent's tower, making it harder to deal with the Graveyard. It looks like a good matchup for Samuel Bassotto.
AC, similar opinion here?
Yeah. I think this is definitely something where him getting into this game and seeing what is happening right now, I think he can feel really confident and just know that if he plays well, he should be able to get this win.
So Samuel with a nice advantage here in game number 1 as the first 2 minutes passes. A little bit of damage here and setting up the mortar to the left-hand side. Nice pickup against the bomb tower. Easy read there by the Spaniard, and no swipe on the right-hand side from the Mega Minion. So we'll see if Michi can force a lot of expenditure on the left-hand side. 8 on the board right now for Samuel. We'll see if he chooses to double down here with a Graveyard in the left-hand lane. Probably not, as Michi does switch to the right-hand side.
Yeah, I love what Michifu's doing here, and we saw this is how he won the last time. He just puts constant pressure on his opponents, going left, going right with these mortars, making it so Samuel Bassotto can never get that big counter push that he's looking for, getting that Graveyard down and probably just winning with that push. But Michifu just doesn't let it happen. And here we see it, the earthquake cycle start. And I've seen it so many times today. I've seen it so many times with Michifu. I've seen it so many times with this deck. And every time I think there's a matchup going one way, Earthquake says, hey, you forgot about me. And I think this might be another situation.
Log and Firecracker working on the bottom left-hand side. Skellies, though, are getting in, taking us from 1998 back in time to 1730. Electricity goes out the window as that left-hand tower gets absolutely shredded, and now Samuel Bassotto with the lead as we go into sudden death overtime, 1966 on the top right-hand side.
Yeah, I'm not sure why he went in with the defensive mortar. I think that actually kind of hurt him right there. Didn't allow him to get the pressure, and then he takes a ton of damage right there. I was kind of shocked to see that, and it actually really hurt him. He allowed Samuel to go pretty aggressively with some Graveyards, and I don't think we'll see another defensive mortar throughout this game.
Spears behind the Knight with the Log, all helping out. If that Knight stays on foot for a little while longer, that Cannon Cart could be in some significant trouble, but instead Archers come in high. EQ cycle to the right-hand lane. Triple Elixir on its way. And the Snowball, of course, taking care of those Spears so frequently. That's a good placement there at least, but Snowball will get him off. I mean, is there any defensive solution here for Michifu? No. Oh, not now.
No, that's GG.
Well, that's game number 1. Cash, you called it right out the gate. Samuel Bassotto taking the first one. And guys, this is not a first place match or elimination match. All 3 players, Mugi, Samuel, and Michi, are all still in the mix for that number 1 prize. The winner of this will move on to the grand final and will be guaranteed top 2. The loser of this goes down and plays against Mugi in the elimination bracket final. Whoever loses here plays against Mugi, and the loser of that would be 3rd place. The winner would come back up and have to win 2 best-of-5s against the upper bracket person. Here's the bracket link. Go ahead and look at that. It explains everything right there. But safe to say, no one here is being eliminated, and we are in our top 3. Anybody could get that 15,000 euro, $18,000 grand prize, which you know, you can get a pretty solid certified pre-owned vehicle for that money.
That is terrifying. That you mentioned that Mugi, if you lose this match, you have to go up against Mugi in the losers bracket. If you're Michifu and Samuel Bassotto, you are probably hoping that Wallace or Matea would just take Mugi out, but he just lingers around, and this is a weird situation because, like you said it, I think any of these players, we keep calling it the losers bracket. We mentioned that probably shouldn't be the name for it because I think easily Mugi could be the winner here.
And Hardway in the Twitch chat saying, fun fact, the sounds of the Electro Wizard and the Knight are made by the same guy. Yeah, I saw that video going around, the guy who does some of the VO, some of the voiceover for a lot of the Clash Royale, a lot of Supercell stuff, but a lot of the Clash Royale voices, was posting a video of him doing some of those recordings, and dude's a master. Dude can definitely get those cool voices going.
Wow, Michifu coming out with Bowler Double Dragon Rage Freeze. That is not the deck I was expecting from Michifu. And isn't this a bad matchup? Isn't this a really, really bad matchup? Graveyard against this deck, isn't this the one deck that's really hard to deal with?
Yeah, I mean, he can just go in with the defensive fireballs on the loons that are able to get past. Inferno Dragon is going to be able to get a lot of value. Inferno Dragon is always one of the best cards you can have against graveyard decks. And I mean, if there's going to be any kind of deck that can steal a win, it's going to be Michi when he's running these the Loon Freeze Double Dragons deck. I've seen him run them before, and I think it wasn't this bad of a matchup or this kind of matchup. But there was one where I was like, oh, there's absolutely no chance, and then he was able to steal it once it hit triple. So we're gonna see him play like pretty cautiously, try and get like balloon death damage whenever he can.
Like right here.
And yeah, exactly, like right here. And then, you know, eventually if he feels like Samuel overextends, maybe uses a fireball on offense when he shouldn't, then we're gonna see him get really, really aggressive.
How difficult are these defenses for Michifu? Obviously not easy defenses, but how much of this damage do you think he's able to prevent?
It's pretty difficult to answer that. I think he should. I mean, it's basically gonna be he's gonna do a phenomenal job, and then it's gonna turn at one point in this game where he starts just not being able to defend. He starts giving up like 200, 300, 400 damage every single time, and then it creates a snowball effect where 30 seconds ago he was in the lead by 30, and then now he's down by 400.
You see Lumberjack goes high there to set the line. Baby Dragon holding on, and so your story's starting to come to fruition here. 1950 to 1828, and Samuel doubles down on the right-hand side.
Whoa, cannon cart.
Oh, boy. Oh, boy. Absolute shred job in the right-hand lane. And now it's going to take some real fancy footwork from Michi to steal this one back.
Yeah, I don't really know what Michifu can do. If he's going to do anything, it's to overwhelm and do this exactly what he's doing. Build a big push, a big counter push. The problem is Samuel Bassotto has that bomb tower, has that fireball, has that snowball. He has so many answers, and as long as Samuel Bassotto doesn't make a mistake, this should be an easy win.
Well, the big question here is can Michifu find any opening to get the fireball to come out before the bomb tower becomes a factor, right? So that oh, and he's going to go ahead and beat the cannon cart. NATO's this back, and the bar barrel doesn't stop it. Oh, my word. Michifu coming apart at the seams right now.
Single-handedly to the cannon card of all cards. Wow, I love the cannon card, and right now, Michifu, this might be his new least favorite card.
That's the freeze timing. NATO to pull all that back together. Does stop the Knight. Balloon cannot get in. Graveyard down on the right-hand side, final 50 seconds, and I don't think there's anything to do here, and Michifu knows it. He rolls over, and now Samuel's one win away from guaranteeing himself a spot in the top two.
Wow, Samuel Bassotto. I don't know if you guys watched the regional finals from LATAM, but I think part of the success has to come to Stang Sand for Samuel Bassotto. I think he was single-handedly the reason that Samuel Bassotto achieved this next level, get this little bit of fire. There was in the winner's bracket, we saw that there was a very, very close best of 5 between Stang Sand and Samuel Bassotto, and Stang Sand had a really good matchup, almost lost it, won by 9 HP in the 5th and final game, and BM Samuel Bassotto. And since that moment, we have not seen the same Samuel Bassotto. He has been a Samuel Bassotto on a mission, and I think this is what I was excited to see in the Bren Chong Cup. This is the Samuel Bassotto we all wanted to see, and this is what we're seeing right now.
You know, AC, you've obviously been Samuel's teammate for the 2020 season. You know, talk to me a little bit about practicing with him, talking about his personality. You know, you've had kind of a first-hand seat to how he responds to pressure, how he responds to BM, how he responds to these things. Is Cashman pretty on point here with his evaluation of your space station teammate?
Yeah. There's one thing I learned. Never. Well, actually, not even just for Samuel, but like never to BM any of my non-US teammates, because I mean, they love it. They find it enjoyable. They are gonna try harder than they've ever tried before in their lives because they want to be able to, you know, do it back to you. And he's exactly correct. Like, as long as he isn't feeling nervous and you BM him, he's just gonna want to prove to himself and to you that that was a mistake, and he's exactly correct.
Yeah, it reminded me of the Michael Jordan Last Dance documentary, where that was that moment where he just took it personal and he just got to that next level. It was awesome to see, and I was fortunate enough to cast it live, and it was one of my favorite stories in Clash Royale that I've ever seen. It's got to be up there with that 1 HP loss with Morden and Surge in that World Finals. It was wild, and I love that he's keeping this momentum going in the World Finals.
Michi going with the spam bait deck, the little hybrid that we already saw him run earlier in this same Grand Finals day. AC, we've seen this one pop up a bit here in this tournament. Do you know who created this deck?
I do not. I don't even really know who like popularized the deck really. But yeah. Basically, you run this deck whenever you're trying to beat Graveyard, and is this the third time he's ranked Graveyard in this?
Oh yes.
Best of 5?
Oh yes.
Look at that Princess connection on the left-hand side too. So, looks like Michi's making the right call here.
Yeah, this was a good deck choice out of him, and honestly, I don't even like or dislike the deck choice from Samuel. Obviously, he's won the last 2 games with it. There's no harm in trying to get a third one.
People in the chat, I've seen. In the YouTube chat, people have said that Lapo created it, Expo Master created it, Bag created it, and Morton made that deck. So now I've seen 4 different assignments on the YouTube chat, and in the Twitch chat, Madi's saying this deck was featured on CWA, and seen it way much more since then. Yeah, our friend Clash with Ash, CWA, definitely one of those guys who, I wouldn't say he dictates the meta, but especially if you're playing in more competitive circles. You'll once a deck appears on his stream or on his videos, you'll probably find it in a Grand Challenge or Classic Challenge pretty soon.
Oh, and I hate that. Whenever I'm going up against, there's been a couple of times where I've streamed and there's been one deck, this random deck that just is everybody's playing. And my first reaction is, who played this deck on YouTube? Was it B-Rad? Was it Surtag? Was it CWA? Who did it? Who brought this deck to light? And it's funny how influential some of these content creators are.
And this is a big push on the left-hand side. Snowball will slow down the wall breakers enough, but 699, Bassotto just holding on at the moment.
Yeah, I'm not a huge fan of these of the Knight Mega Minion push. I think really the only chance he has, and you know it's not a great chance, but the only chance he has is by stacking. We see game over right here. I mean, Michifu just cycles way too quickly. Hunter puts in way too much work. The only chance you have is because, you know, he only does have log, where you can stack, and then possibly be able to overwhelm. Great gameplay from Michi. Obviously, you know, it's going to be difficult to stack when your opponent realizes that's what you're trying to do. And so great pressure and just a really good game.
Really good game indeed, and now we are back pretty close to even. 2-1 advantage now for Samuel. Michifu staying in it and working out very nicely. That matchup was for him, and you know we've seen sort of this mode from some of these top players. Igor, of course, probably the best known for it, running the same deck over and over and over again, almost one-tricking a deck in a single match. And obviously see Michifu saying, dude, you're not doing that to me, and a great deck pick there. So we go to game number 3. AC, any way that you imagine that that Samuel runs that graveyard deck one more time here?
The answer has to be no, right? But comp players love just messing with each other and, you know, trying to basically say that that they're the greatest at what they do. So, look, my answer is no, but really...
It's no but.
Yeah, exactly.
So here we go, game number 4, and there should be a 1 on Michifu's side, so they'll probably get that updated in just a moment here. Samuel choosing to ban NATO for this one, and I always get confused by this.
Using Samuel Bassotto's deck?
He might have switched it up. Yeah, he's going with the Graveyard Cannon card, absolutely right.
Oh my gosh, that's hilarious. You're right about these competitive players. They love to do these little bit of mind games.
And I'm always curious about this one, and maybe it's just a reflex thing. Samuel banned Tornado. He knew Tornado didn't exist in the rest of this match, but his opening miner still goes to the safe spot. Is that just pure reflex on that side, AC?
It's pretty much. It's kind of funny, and every once in a while you can definitely get your opponents with it, like especially 2 pros where they recognize NATO's not going to be in play. But yeah, I'm not a huge fan of that. You have anywhere on the board that you can be playing that miner on that crown tower, and to still go in the safe spot is it's probably not the greatest placement right there.
Fireball to the right-hand side. And Knight gonna go ahead, get across. We'll see. Michi does have plenty of elixir, but decides not to pull the trigger on Graveyard here. I'm gonna go set up Cannon Cart, and this next push we expect might be a Graveyard push.
Yeah, this is a matchup where it looks like Michifu has a pretty solid matchup. I've seen this. This is a deck Igor ran multiple times in the regional finals and in the world finals a couple of times, and I've seen Igor win this matchup every single time. I know that sounds ridiculous. I know Igor and Samuel Bassotto aren't the same player, but as long as Samuel Bassotto can just keep defending, getting these miners on, and just Earthquake, Samuel Bassotto wins this, and we're gonna see him in the world finals.
Yeah, it really depends how he uses his Hunter, but as long as it can get like at least a decent amount of value, like even on these graveyards like this is still incredible value from the Hunter. It's gonna be able to stay alive and basically take it out like entirely with a log. But yeah, if he can use that Hunter correctly, get a little bit of chip damage from the miner and just Earthquake cycle, like you should be feeling really good right now.
One thing I do want to note is in the matches I saw with Igor, he was always going opposite lane, which I think was a little bit better in this situation because now Michifu can kind of over-defend these miners and then not have to worry. He can always have that counter push with this Graveyard, and that could be a problem. That could be a really big problem, but letting this entire miner go on the right side, that's a lot of damage.
And the Fireball doesn't hit the spears as well.
I actually really love that miner because basically he knows that he's gonna... Michi is setting up very specific graveyard pushes where he needs all the elixir. Otherwise, he's not going to be able to go in with the arrows, not going with the fireballs on top of the hunters. So as soon as he recognizes that the graveyard push is going in, these miners are phenomenal. Because yes, you're exactly correct that you should be going opposite lane. But yeah, he's kind of stuck in a position where he has to go at the same time as Michi.
And that last Graveyard putting things much closer. And now defensive EQ required. Miner on the bottom takes it down to under 500 HP, but 536 on the top. So a lot of pressure in both directions.
This is Earthquake Miner. Easy win for Samuel Bassotto.
And EQ comes in. Log will be able to finish it off, and that's a GG well played. Samuel Bassotto is going to go to your grand final with a shot at being your champion.
Wow. And one thing I guess I saw that Samuel Bassotto did that Igor didn't do was he did defensive Earthquakes a lot. I think that partly maybe just to make sure that he can get those defenses cleanly. He knew he can get a lot of damage with those miners, with those Earthquakes, especially in triple elixir. We saw him close out the game with it, and I think that's just a perfect game from Samuel Bassotto. But do we expect nothing less?
I mean, that's kind of what you would expect in that situation. Again, I don't think that we're going to see a ton of mistakes in these last few matches, right? You might say there was a couple a questionable decision by Michifu at one point with the mortar play in particular, but at this point, I don't think we're going to see a ton of mistakes. And at this level, it's one of those interesting things, right? Where at lower levels of gameplay, and AC, this is a good question for you. It feels like the better the players get, the more deck selection and matchup becomes critical.
Yeah, I was actually going to say, really, so like with competitions like this, once it hits top 3, top 4, top 8 even, basically the mistakes are just deck choices. There's really no, like, it's almost never gameplay based when you're talking about the mistakes.
So this is Benny Hu of Team Queso, CRL World Champion for 2020, and why we're here, because we're going to get some replay action in just a moment. So, and this is that mortar game, and this is a little bit later, I think. This is after the defensive mortar. So let's go ahead, AC, talk us through this, and I think this is after the defensive mortar already gave up the trouble.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, this is when he does that NATO play. I mean, Michi's in this like really, really rough spot. Obviously, he's supposed to be NATOing the Mega Minion up. He just can't afford to do that, because then he's going to have the skeletons lock onto the tower. And, I mean, he really just has no opportunity to defend that perfectly. The Spear Goblins just give way too much value when you allow the Snowball to slow down the tower as well. And it was just a really difficult spot for him to defend, and he wasn't able to do it.
Yeah, that's a rough one. We'll see if we're going to stick here for a second, guys. Those of you watching, whether you're on Twitch or YouTube, we're going to stay with this for a moment, see if they have another replay coming in. And looks like they don't, so we'll come back out here for a moment. Guys, we're reaching now our lower bracket, Elimination Bracket Championship. Our next upcoming match between Michifu and Mugi will decide who goes back up to face Samuel for the grand final. And of course, the loser here will end up taking third place, a sizable 3,500 euros, about $3,800, but will end up in third place. So a pretty important matchup. And if you are just joining us, if you haven't yet, go ahead, hit subscribe on this channel. Let me do a little check here, because I believe we're getting pretty close to 18,000 subscribers on the channel right now. We're at 17,740. We are 260 subscribers away from 18K. So if you guys are enjoying yourselves at all, if you want to see more great competitive Clash Royale content, hit that subscribe button. Would be very, very cool to hit 18,000 today on stream as part of this event. And of course, I do appreciate the support of everyone who's here, whether you're just watching, whether you're a sub, whether you liked the video, whatever it was, whatever you've done. Certainly happy to have you guys here as well. But we do have at least 2 more matches, potentially 3, because again, keep this in mind. Here's the link in the chat. Right now, it will be Michifu versus Mugi. The winner will go on to play against Samuel Bassotto, who hasn't lost in this bracket yet. So Samuel does have a match loss to give. If the winner here beats Samuel, they must beat him a second time to be our champion. Otherwise, we will crown our champion 2 matches from now. Let's see.
Beating Samuel once is difficult. So beating him twice is going to be near impossible. I mean, that match, like, you have to feel sick if you're Michifu, because that match, obviously there's the huge difference between being in the winner's bracket and having that guaranteed money. But like you go from being in the best possible scenario of being in the winner's bracket to moving down to the losers and having to go against Mugi. And you know that even if you are able to beat him, you have to beat the opponent that you just lost to 2 times.
Yeah, that's going to be a brutal one here. Now, obviously, Cash, you've watched Mugi a lot. You're a big fan of his. You cast all throughout here. We just saw Mugi play some brilliant Clash Royale. Do you feel like, given sort of the maybe slightly tilted play from Michifu we just saw, and the skill from Mugi, that this is Mugi's matchup here?
Oh, right away I'm seeing this deck selection. If Mugi has Fireball, which he most likely does, this is already going to be GG well played. This match is not what you're looking for. It looks like Michifu's running the 2.6 Royal Hogs deck. We've seen this game get somewhat close in the past, But overall, Mugi should be able to win this. This matchup's hugely, heavily favored for Mugi, and we've brought this up before. If Mugi has an okay matchup, that's already kind of a matchup heavily favored with Mugi. So if he gets a great matchup, this becomes a situation where if you're Michifu, you might have to be looking to game number 2 already.
And it almost feels like with Mugi that if you have 60-40 matchup against him, that he still has a pretty good situation.
Exactly. And right now, I wouldn't be surprised. The only way I've seen this matchup come close is if Michifu somehow makes it to double elixir, and it's a ridiculous play, but going Royal Hogs at the back and cycling back to more Royal Hogs and going opposite lane and trying to figure out a way through. But just with all the resources you have if you're Mugi, with having the bomb towers, potentially getting to multiple bomb towers. Wait a second, he has Earthquake. He doesn't have Fireball. Michifu, this is a great matchup. This is an okay matchup for Michifu. This is a really good matchup for Michifu.
Yeah, it's going to be difficult. Like, at this point, it shouldn't be too one-sided. He can cycle extremely fast with the Royal Hogs and Earthquake. But obviously Mugi can just get a lot of Earthquakes on tower and get a bunch of damage with the minor Earthquakes.
As well, they get minor chip, Earthquake chip, where Michifu's probably only going to be able to get the I guess the Earthquake chip. I don't see these Royal Hogs ever getting on tower.
Exactly.
Yeah, I guess the log cancel, it's the log. So I think the big difference is going to just be these minor shots. And if Michifu can pick up every single minor, which we've seen people do in this tournament, Igor, it's possible, but not a great situation, especially against a player like Mugi, especially if you just lost in the final or in the winner's bracket against Samuel Bassotto, and maybe you're a little tilted, maybe overthinking your gameplay a little bit. So this is going to be a big match for Mugi, or for Michifu, and if Michifu can figure out a way to win this match, a lot of confidence going in, but I just don't see that happening.
Wall breakers to the left-hand side taken care of here. Talking about picking up these miners, and of course Bomb Tower is going to do well against these Hogs. Talk about picking up these miners. AC, how much is it, at Michifu? At what point does Michifu start double dropping to make sure he picks up miners?
See, the problem with double dropping is that you don't have anything that is really able to survive an Earthquake. You basically have, if you're in a cycle where you can Hunter E-Spirit it, technically you can be doing that, but then at that point you're just giving way too much Earthquake value. He's kind of in a spot where he has to pressure whenever he thinks his opponent is going to go in with minor, and it's just a difficult thing.
Wow, these picks could get there. These picks could get there. Michifu steals it. Michifu steals it. Game number 1 goes to the Spaniard. Oh my word, Mugi gets caught flat-footed and gives up game number 1.
I don't know how he did that.
What a play by Michifu. Is just able to, I guess, a little bit of overcommit on defense, just quick cycle, making sure he plays these cheap elixir cards, getting back to Royal Hogs. The late bomb tower just wasn't enough. 2 Royal Hogs get on tower, and that's Michifu. This is, the whole tides have changed right now. Michifu's got to have a lot of confidence after that game.
That was a crazy one. I wish we did replays now as opposed to in between the matches. We are going to have a little bit of break between the matches, of course, because the winner here has to go right into a match against Samuel Bassotto. So there'll be a little bit of time there between those two. But absolutely, wow.
So I looked at it again because I couldn't believe that he was like that actually just happened. And I think you have to look at he only has 200 HP left on the tower, where so Mugi has 600, Michi has 200, and Michi goes in with an E-Spirit at the bridge, and Mugi plays Spear Goblins and then bats on top of the Spear Goblins, and one E-Spirit takes out all 5 of the bats and takes the Spear Goblins down to like a 10th health, and then he goes in with an offensive wall breakers, not allowing him to cycle back to the bomb tower and be able to have the elixir for that. That was just a really bad play. And probably the worst play I've seen out of Mugi, possibly ever.
Minor goes to the
those
inside.
Wall breakers. Oh.
Yeah, and that's something you don't hear often is a bad play out of Mugi, and in this situation, you can't make a bad play against a guy like Michifu. So good pickup here. Damage lead right now for Mugi, playing minor wall breakers up against the bait spam deck. This will be interesting.
Mugi, I will confirm this. Mugi has yet to play against this deck, so this, at least in the Bren Chong Cup, so I'm hoping he practiced against this deck, because looking at your opponents, you're most likely going to play Michifu at one point, and you've seen Michifu pull this deck out a lot, so I'm hoping that he prepared for this deck, because if he didn't, this is one of those decks that can just snowball really quickly out of control, and if you just don't know how to defend it correctly, you can just lose like that. One cannon card on tower, one wall breaker set on tower, even if you can't just deal with a goblin barrel, if you already used that log, if you can't deal with that goblin arrow correctly, this deck just it waterfalls, not waterfalls, it snowballs out of control really quickly. And let's see what Mugi can do here.
Miner not coming in for these wall breakers on the left-hand side. They're just pressuring and still connect despite the bandit in response.
Rich, can I ask what time you're at right now?
I'm at 56, 55, 54, 53. There we go.
Perfect. I just went back in time like AC, and I want to watch that replay, so I was a little off there.
All right. Now we're all back up in sync unless AC is still off, and Miner goes right to that princess. Wallbreaker's not going to make it.
I went back, and then I like fast forwarded a few times, and then I actually went to the perfect spot, and I totally forgot that I had even done it.
Nice work.
So I was totally fine.
That is impressive. That is some. Are you gonna bet on the Super Bowl later tonight as well?
I feel like
on the Gatorade that's gonna get thrown.
I could do it like Pat McAfee does, and then just bet on the coin toss. I feel like I have to do something.
Oh, some of the bets are ridiculous. I guess this isn't probably the situation to talk about those bets.
Maybe with thousands of dollars on the line, we'll talk about the match in front of us. 10.98 to the left-hand side. Mugi starting to pull away a little bit here as we go into sudden death.
Yeah, and I think this is a situation where Mugi has to. This is a pivotal game, I think, for Mugi, because if he does, I don't want to say the word choke, but if he chokes this game again like he choked the last game, this is, I think this might be the end of Mugi, which is crazy to even say. I didn't think that those words even went in the same sentence, unless there was a not in that sentence. So let's see what happens in these last minute and 30 seconds.
And Mugi does read the juke barrel attempt by Michifu pretty well here. We'll see if he goes for something similar and splits it this time to the right and to the left. Log on the left-hand side, and the spears on the right-hand side. Princess staying alive, though. Bomb Tower has to come out high, and Cannon Cart to protect the Princess, but doesn't get rid of the spear. So Mugi able to hold on with this defense, but now Cannon Cart with a second Princess behind. And there you go. Goblin Barrel on tower. Log going to have its focus split there. And not much damage comes in. No, there we go, 751. So now, right at this moment, 120-something HP separating. Wall breakers in, EQ down, pressure in both directions.
This is not looking good for Mugi. This is the exact same situation we saw him in before, but this is what this bridge spam deck does. It stacks these cannon cards. You got to deal with the band, you got to deal with the cannon card, you got to deal with the princess, but you can't forget about that hunter on the left side, or even the wall breakers, or the goblin barrel. There's just so much pressure, and now that we're in triple elixir, that means more offensive capabilities, and this is going to be really hard for Mugi to defend.
But no Miner catch here, and that should be it. Bottom left-hand tower goes down. Miner EQ more than enough, and we are all tied up 1-1.
That
Weird.
was
Weird play by Michifu.
That was such an unbelievably well-played game from Mugi. Coming back from that game one, like, just mistake, to be able to play like that, he understood exactly when he had to log, how, like, Michifu did a phenomenal job of pressuring. He was protecting princesses. He was doing everything that he possibly could. But it didn't matter. Mugi was playing exactly how he's supposed to. He was getting value out of just a singular spear goblin that was left alive. That was phenomenal gameplay from both, and that was probably the best game I've seen all tournament.
Yeah, that was pretty wild. And people asking why Michi didn't do more troll barrels, because the juke barrel, as you saw, got picked up pretty easily. At this level, the likelihood of Mugi misreading a juke barrel is so infinitesimal, right? He's so well managed that throwing those juke barrels full all the way off tower, if you got Mugi to fall for that, that would be like megging someone in football or soccer, or breaking someone's ankles in basketball. That would be a thing that would get memed, and you would see Michifu posting videos of it and tagging Mugi online repeatedly.
Yeah, and you can't make that play recognizing with like what's on the line, because if you allow him to keep just one log and allow him to get a free log on a princess, a free log on a goblin barrel, or free log on wall breakers or anything like that, that's just something that you can't do. So I like that he didn't make those kind of plays.
No ban from Mugi here, so continuing with the same theme. Michifu ties things up 1-1. The only ban for the moment is Miner. We'll see if Mugi loses another if he does choose to exercise that option.
Are we seeing maybe a little lava Miner? No, we already see Miner banned. What? Why are neither of these players playing? We got a little Mexican standoff right now, and we have not seen this entire world finals so far.
Yeah, the staring contest. Today. The staring contest has not been. We saw a lot more staring contests in the group stage and some in the regional finals, but in these world finals, the action has been a lot faster here.
Yeah, a lot of cycle decks, and it looks like we might see a mirror match. Splash Yard versus Splash Yard? Nope. It looks like it's going to be Graveyard versus Graveyard, though.
And a well played from Michi, and Mega Minion deep in enemy territory. You miss one every once in a while.
I rewatched my footage one time, and I got left and right wrong every single time, I'm pretty sure. I don't know what the heck. I gotta go back to school.
Baby Slaton is only 2, and he got his left and right down, so... You know, a lot of ground to make up there, Cash.
Hey, maybe Baby Slaton's got to be the co-caster here, because I don't know how I keep messing that up. Also, always call the Mega Minion and the Mega Knight the wrong name. Yeah. So it's just, that's the caster in life. I guess going to this matchup, I've seen this matchup a lot of times. AC, do you know the actual matchup of the Fire and Ice Graveyard Cannon card versus the traditional Splash Yard? I guess not as traditional because that has Goblin Cage. Is this Splash Yard's matchup, or is it Cannon Cart could do some Cannon Cart stuff?
So I think okay, so with Bomb Tower, it's definitely advantageous for the Night Graveyard. And even with Goblin Cage, I think it still should be that way. You can apply a lot of pressure, and then archers are going to be able to clean up everything super nicely. Just the fact that you can archers on defense, and the poison takes, 4 or 5 seconds to take that out, and then, all you have to do is snowball at the end. He needs to keep this close, and then once, it's pretty far into overtime, or even if he waits until triple elixir, he should be able to get really aggressive and be able to just win by just graveyarding as often as possible.
Yeah, so it sounds like you're saying Mugi has a decent matchup, and that's all it takes for me. Mugi's gonna win the... No, I don't know.
Speaking of snowballs, though, Asa, you mentioned it in chat, calling it out like crazy. What the heck happened with that snowball from Mugi?
Yeah, so I don't know if you heard me, but I did a little gasp. I think he was trying to do archers at the bridge. It was either archers or Mega Minion that he was trying to get off at the bridge, and instead misclicks and then does the snowball instead, which is not what you often see, but it was early enough in the match where it wasn't going to be a killer.
Archers do stay out of the poison for most of the time, so able to defend against that graveyard. So despite the snowball misclick, Mugi still way ahead, 1270 to 1814. And now Cannon Cart with the Knight to the right-hand side. So interesting to see Michifu going with this, sort of outdated version of Graveyard that most people really aren't playing right now.
We saw it a lot in the Asia region. This is a deck that a lot of people would go to as their comfort deck, just because I just think it's so consistent. That trifecta of the Ice Wizard, Baby Dragon, Tornado on defense it's a lot of really, really good matchups, especially with all the balloons. And then just how powerful the Knight is these days. It's just, this deck is really solid. But you got to remember the Cannon Cart, which might be the MVP of the Bren Chong Cup right now. It's been a sneaky good card, and I guess it's not going to do anything there, but GG.
GG. Mugi takes game number 2 and now is 1 win away from our grand final. And, man, who wouldn't want to watch Mugi and Samuel Bassotto play 5, possibly 10 games? Who wouldn't want to watch Michi and Samuel run it back as well? So, either way, we're going to get a great show in that grand final, but Mugi now with 1 to go. Interesting deck choice here from Michi in this one, kind of going old meta, as you were saying, a comfort deck for many people. AC, you're in Michifu's corner. What do you tell him to go for here? I mean, from a deck picking standpoint, it seems like he's been having some challenges.
Yeah. Honestly, I don't really know. It feels like as of now, Mugi has his number when it comes to matchups, and that's obviously something you don't want happening. I think you. I mean, no minor in play. You could run like variations of decks. So we could easily see. I wouldn't mind like a lava clone, lava
I was gonna say
kind
the
of deck.
same thing. Do something Matea did. It worked. Like, he got one game, and that's all you need right now if you're Michifu.
Well, it's one of those things where if you're Michifu, I mean, with the skill set he has, you can't imagine he wants to toss it to the matchup wins that hard, though.
Yeah, this is a hard situation for Michifu. I don't envy his situation at all. I'd hate to be in this situation, looking across the table, seeing Mugi, and not only that, but a Mugi on fire, maybe a Mugi that wants a little bit of vengeance as well against Samuel Bassotto. The only person to ever take a set so far off Mugi in this tournament is in the finals, and maybe that's where Mugi's looking right now.
And Michi just running that same deck back, and first defense goes pretty easily for Mugi.
Yeah, this is another rough matchup. I've seen this matchup with Igor. Igor plays this. It's funny watching Igor play because there's 4 cards, kind of like a core kind of group of cards he has in each deck, and it seems like he always just changed the win condition. But having that Royal Delivery is really going to help with these graveyards, and especially if there's too many units coming over the bridge as well. Adding this Royal Delivery, maybe Mugi expected this deck. Wait a second, no, it is Royal Hogs. I thought this was just going to be maybe a little bit of minor control Earthquake, but this is the deck Michifu played in the first game. I have yet to see Mugi play this deck.
This is getting around so fast, and say it with me, those of you in the chat, Earthquake is a win condition. And the Hogs are just extra icing on the cake. Delivery comes high to control the Baby Dragon, spears down low on the graveyard. King Tower activation, but you know what King Towers can't stop? Earthquake.
No, they cannot. No, they cannot. And this matchup, I guess just looking at it, it's winnable for Mugi, but it's definitely not easy. I've seen people play this matchup, and as long as Michifu can just mitigate as much damage as possible, the longer this game goes on, the more graveyards that come down, the more graveyard chip. I think it's just going to come down to one big graveyard, and it's just going to be that knockout punch. But Mugi's doing a great job right now of getting these Royal Hogs on tower, getting that Earthquake value as well. Every Earthquake value, that sounds so weird to say. It's right now, he's just putting on so much pressure. Now he has the option of going left and right. What do you do right now if you're Michifu?
Yeah, I mean, there's not much you can do. You kind of just have to wait for a mistake, and he's going to get it just a little bit right here, and that's going to be able to tie it up and almost give him a lead.
Wow, that's I'm scared because I've seen a lot of players in this situation. Once they feel like they're behind, try to overcommit, go for that one punch knockout. And a lot of times we see players get burned by that. So right now it doesn't look like Michifu is doing that. So really, really good play by Michifu. And this is a big graveyard push. Hunter up high, has to go with a log on defense, spear goblins as well, anything. And this is
brilliantly defended.
This is where we're going to start seeing Earthquake, Earthquake, Earthquake. No?
Brilliantly defended. What Mugi's doing really well right now is not worrying about the graveyard as much and making sure that he wins that bridge, right? Making sure that Baby Dragon does not get deep into territory, making sure he stops that push from supporting that graveyard, and then it allows him to defend the graveyard cheaply, which is absolutely huge, and that's the thing that's helping Mugi in these situations.
Yeah, and it looks like this might be it. This is Mugi. All he has to do is, I would assume he's going to go Royal Hogs, but maybe just go with cheap cycle, Earthquake, 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 and then he just needs one more, two more Earthquakes right now?
Yeah, I don't think we're going to see Royal Hogs come out of him anymore, especially since he's going same lane, because that allows Michifu to stack. But yeah, Rich, you talked about it. Phenomenal job of making sure to take out the Baby Dragon and not taking out the graveyard. Allowing them to get like a Baby Dragon that can NATO everything together and get a ton of value. That's how you lose this game. But Mugi playing this exactly how you're supposed to, stopping everything at the bridge, going down with a Royal Delivery, going down with the Hunter, did exactly what he was supposed to, and that's how you win in a textbook fashion.
And there you go, 3-1 victory for Mugi. who goes back to our grand final. And yes, those two guys you see are in the Spanish production booth, guys. They keep on changing the timing of how fast they switch off of screens and over to those guys. So I'm taking a clean feed from Spain. That's why you see it. Of course, I'll send you back there for a second. On the right-hand side, that's Revel Amar, the creator and one of the guys who runs and casts the CWA Cup, Bren Chong Cup, AMG Cup, Moreno Cup, Cabrera Cup, and of course with him there is Bale, CRL Pro. And here we are, getting all the way down to the grand final, to the very end here. It's going to be Samuel Bassotto versus Mugi, and maybe kind of a classic matchup, Brazil and Japan, two countries that are intimately tied together. Of course, Brazil is known for Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, and where did that come from? That came from Japan. The Gracie family learning the Japanese-style jiu-jitsu, taking it, adapting it over to Brazil. So these are two countries that are closely linked, closely tied in martial arts history, and of course have a lot of experience, of course, in Clash Royale history as well. And this is going to be a history-making match, one of the largest prizes for a community tournament ever. The winner here walks away with 15,000 euros, and second place takes 7,500. That's a lot of dollars as well. Keep in mind, this is double elimination. Here's the bracket in the chat. Samuel Bassotto has not lost a match yet in this bracket. If Mugi wins this best of 5, he has to win another best of 5 against Samuel, because Samuel has a match lost to give. If Samuel wins, it is all over and we have our champion. Man, what a crazy matchup. I think that anyone trying to predict a winner here probably owns a DeLorean with a flux capacitor, because there is no way in my mind that anybody has any idea who wins this.
I'm pretty proud right now, because I was fortunate enough to cast the Latin American side and the Asia side, and boom, both of the horses coming out of those gates are from the sides I casted. What happened, Rich? What happened to yours? Where's the Europeans? Where's the North Americans?
Michi was carrying the torch there at the end. Miniminter went out a little bit earlier. Here we are. We're with Asia and LATAM, and obviously two massive communities for Clash Royale overall. And specifically, talk about Brazil and Japan. Brazil is one of the biggest markets in the world for Clash Royale, on the top 5 in total downloads, I believe, for the game. It's insanely popular in the country of Brazil, and one of the official broadcasts for CRL West has been Portuguese. It's English, Spanish, and Portuguese because of how big the game is in Brazil. And obviously Japan has a rabid Clash Royale community, as we said before. That's why the first ever CRL World Finals were in Tokyo, there alongside my friend and co-caster Akrap for that 2018 Clash Royale League World Finals. So there are few national matchups that can get better than this. And, AC, let me throw this one to you. I feel like there are maybe a handful of best of 5 matchups that reach this one. Samuel and Mugi, I mean, how many other players you think you could swap in and out and we still have this same quality for a grand final?
One, maybe. It doesn't get much better than this. This is exactly what you want to be seeing as a viewer, as a caster. There's not much that can beat this.
Yeah, and again, the match will start when it starts, guys. Of course, I guess we're jumping in right now. Let's go. Your grand final part 1. Samuel Bassotto, the home team, with a full best of 5 to give. Mugi has to win 2 best of 5s in a row in order to be our champion. This is it, the Bren Chong Cup 2 grand final. Let's go.
I can't think of a better ending to this great competition. These are two of the best players, both won in their respective regions. They're highly ranked regions as well. This is a storybook ending. I can't think of a better ending. You said it as well, the regions, 2 of the best regions in Clash Royale going head to head. I love in Clash Royale how there's all these little, everybody, there's the entire community as a whole, but also within the community there's little sub-regions, sub-competitions. You can even go into the game where there's even certain archetypes that people the Lava Hound players hate the Expo players, the Golem players hate the Expo players, the Bait players hate the Expo players. Seems like a lot of people hate the Expo players, but Expo players love each other. So I like the community of Clash Royale, and I think right now we're getting the perfect end to, I guess, 2 of the biggest communities.
And you talk about 2 of the biggest players in the world. Mugi's personal best on his personal 8670 which is probably his personal best overall in ladder, I would guess. That's no joke there. An 86-70, of course, does have a first-place finish. Talk about first-place finishes, though. You can't not talk about Samuel, who I believe his count now is 5 first-place finishes. And on this account, best finish is 81-24. But we all know Samuel has finished the ladder season much higher in the past with those 5 world number ones. Absolute insanity from the Brazilian.
Yeah, he is definitely one of a kind, and I'm excited to see what he does in this. Just he started off really strong in 2021, but I think if any year is looking really good for Samuel Bassotto, it's this year. It's him alone. It's similar to ladder in that regards, where it's just one player. You don't have to worry about team. There's no 2v2. It's just him, and I think right now we're gonna see a lot of players like Samuel Bassotto excel this year because of that reason. And Michifu, another name. Mugi is another name. This year is going to be insane with Clash Royale, and I think this is the best start that we could ask for.
Graveyard in on the left-hand side, Spears in response. These guys playing 2 of the most popular decks in the game so far, though. It has been all Mugi. AC, what does your teammate have to do here to get back in it?
I feel like he just has to keep playing the way he's playing, and then not really hope for a mistake, kind of bait out a mistake. So far, Mugi, the way he's defended these graveyards, has been absolutely perfectly no mistakes whatsoever. But even then, he's only down by a little bit. He's forcing difficult plays to be made, which is exactly what what you're supposed to be doing. And eventually, all he has to do is mistime the Earthquake once, maybe have the Princess Tower lock onto like an offensive knight, and then have the skeletons stack behind everything. Eventually, he might be able to pull off something where he's able to get a lot of offensive pressure. He just needs to do that, play calm, play collected, and then possibly he can get through this defense.
Yeah, I would love to mention one thing about Mugi's defense, and it's how he's defending, where every single time he goes Spear Goblins first, waits for the snowball, logs to clean everything up, and then you use the bats. And you know that Samuel Bassotto doesn't have anything for the bats. Sure, he could fireball, but at that point it's an overcommit, and we just see Mugi do that at pretty much 3 out of the 4 defenses so far we've seen. Maybe I missed one, but he's done that every single time, and it's the most efficient way to defend. And a lot of times, if you're efficient in this game, that's how you're going to win.
We were talking with Hazard about that idea of efficiency, and he harkened back to an interview with Surgical Goblin when he was at his height, and Surgical Goblin being asked why he's performing so much better than everyone else, and his answer was that everyone else spends too much on defense. And look about the overspend here. Look at that on the right-hand side. Looked like Mugi had this thing all sewn up, and just like that.
The cannon cart, absolute MVP of the Bren Chong Cup, and I love to see that it's still putting in work. Fireball comes in, wow.
Unbelievable. Just as I'm talking about that interview with Surgical Goblin where he said people spend too much on defense, right? That was his answer, why he's better. Everyone else overspends on defense, and Hazard saying that he was at first kind of like, insulted, and then he looked at it and realized, oh yeah, that's actually what's happening. You see there, just got caught flat-footed, and Samuel Bassotto takes a huge, steals a Game 1 win here.
Wow. Just 1 second late with that miner, tries to get it down by that cannon card. If the cannon card gets a lock, we've seen so many games. I would love to see a compilation with, I don't know, maybe that chicken dance music in the background of just all the cannon cards and all the towers they've taken. It's baffling that a card that we saw barely ever in CRL last season is one of the most dominant cards in Clash Royale this season. And there's no changes, no buffs, no nerfs, no nothing.
Yeah, thoughts on that one there, AC?
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty incredible. People recognize that maybe the card itself isn't like busted or anything, but possibly like the synergy that it can provide is. And we see it with so many decks, the offensive pressure that you can get, especially when you're going against so many cycle decks. If you have Snowball, we saw what it was able to do with a Cannon Cart Mega Minion at the bridge. That Snowball, pushing the knight off of it, killing the Spear Goblins at the same time. You can make so many different plays with it. And, when you have a great card and a great deck that can also double as a win condition if everything else is failing, it's going to be a phenomenal card that, of course, is going to be used all the time.
Let's go ahead and jump into game number 2 here. Samuel with the advantage defends that one well, and looks like he's doing the same thing. We might be having a very similar look here, and Samuel has been running it back. No, going hog instead for a guy who certainly is one of the top cycle players in the world.
Okay, this might be a little bit of a problem for Samuel Bassotto because, hog does not get a hit. But this is a situation where if you break it down, it looks pretty simple that Mugi's going to maybe be able to just out-damage. Unless a hog gets on tower, Earthquake for Earthquake, similar cycle, Miner gets on tower, gets a couple of chip shots, but that's going to be the difference at the end of this game. I don't think this game's going to be more than 200 HP apart by the end.
Yeah, it's going to be super dependent on whether he has log or royal delivery. If he has log, it's definitely going to be kind of like a 50-50 situation, you know, within 200 HP at the end. If he has royal delivery, we should see probably a pretty strong win coming out of Mugi. You just can't do enough damage on the hog side because royal delivery is never something that you can use offensively. So I'm hoping, you know, when we're looking at, you know, we want to see like some great games played, that he's running log, and that's what we're going to get.
That's awesome.
Classic triple spell here from Samuel.
Yeah, it's awkward too because we saw that interaction just now where we saw Hog Rider and an Earthquake come in, and the Bomb Tower, a 4 elixir card, is able to deal with all of that, which is, in my opinion, maybe making a little bit of a statement for Bomb Tower being a little bit too good. A spell that's supposed to be able to deal with towers and a win condition getting totally stopped for 4 elixir. It's going to be hard to get these hogs on tower, but if Samuel Bassotto can figure out a way, that's all he needs is one hog hit to maybe take this game in his favor.
Bats to the left-hand lane. Snowball will clear those out in anticipation of the Miner. Knight goes high, and Log in tandem will stop the wall breakers. Not enough to stop the lead from going towards Mugi, though. 2078 to currently, and now even further down. Going to be under 1,500 HP on that right-hand side. Lead right now for the Japanese player. 7 times top 6 ladder for Mugi. And add into that a CRL Eastern 2020 MVP and Best Solo Player Award. And we're seeing that gameplay right here.
Yeah, I really like this adjust from Samuel because he recognizes that if he's going to win, he has to be going same lane. So really smart play right there. You know, if we see just one prediction snowball, just something crazy out of him, we easily could see this getting flipped, and already we get it flipped where now it's completely even.
Yeah, one good snowball.
That's crazy.
Yeah, that exactly gets, if he'd gotten all the bats with that one, would have been even more potentially. 1036 now to 988, final 2 minutes. And you have triple spell against double spell. Of course, one log hits and one log doesn't. Was that a tile off there by Samuel?
No, it was actually a phenomenal play right there. Able to get the prediction on the Spear Goblins. I mean, that prediction was phenomenal because it keeps the archers alive long enough to be able to take out the knight and all the bats as well. But he's in such a rough spot where at this point it's going to be extremely difficult for him to be able to come back and not get fully spell cycled.
Samuel Bassotto is doing a great job on. Does he get another hog hit? Wow, this is getting really close. Samuel Bassotto on defense is doing a great job picking up these miners every single time. Wall breakers aren't getting close, and he has the lead. So if this is just Earthquake versus Earthquake, Samuel Bassotto should win this.
It's triple spell versus double spell, and now EQ in. Samuel needs to defend against this Knight. Wall breakers. Miner comes in. Does a wall breaker connect? No. Log does hold on. EQ in from Mugi. Now cycling logs does Mugi, 79 HP down to 11. Snowball would be enough to finish it. Samuel does not want to make a big mistake here, though. Snowball comes in and just beats out. Look at all that on tower. Miner, EQ, and bats. That is a split-second difference. And now Samuel Bassotto is 1 game away from the grand prize, the championship, and $18,000. This is absolutely wild. Samuel Bassotto, a guy who people talked about as one of the best in the world for so long, came into CRL and never really had the CRL season to back it up. He had moments, had that big help with the reverse sweep for Space Station Gaming against Tribe in the spring Western Finals. Had some really good moments, of course, in the fall season. But this is one of those moments where people who've always gone, well, is Samuel that good or just a ladder guy? This is what we're seeing right now. Currently up 2 against Mugi, and a chance to put a huge stamp on the beginning of this 2021 competitive season.
Yeah, I love to see what's it. Samuel Bassotto has been doing this since the group stage, the regional finals, and now in the world finals. He figures out a way to win, no matter what the matchup. It's very reminiscent to what Ruben was doing in the world finals of CRL last season, where it didn't matter what the matchup is. He has this clutchness to him, where he just figures out, okay, I can win if I do this. I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna figure out a way to win. I'm gonna win, and a lot of times he wins. We would see him win by 100, 150, even less HP, but he always figures out that way to win, and right now is looking really, really good.
And guys, we are now potentially, unless Mugi wins here, this could be our last game, and we are 142 subscribers away from hitting 18,000. So I see that there's about 4,000 of you watching right now. If you're in the YouTube chat and you haven't yet, go ahead, hit that subscribe button. It's there in the chat. It's there in your YouTube app. Hit that subscribe button. Ring the bell for notifications if you like. This is a great place for competitive Clash Royale. If you're into competitive Clash Royale, whether it's live events like this is commonly the English streaming home for those ones. Of course, pre-recorded content like best of fives with cool different formats. Some inside the play videos diving deep into the mechanics that make certain major moments from Clash Royale history play out the way that they do. And of course, some other technical videos to help you out with mastering certain small skills and short videos as well. So hitting 18,000 here on stream would be super, super cool. We're just a little over 100 subs away from it, so go ahead, if you haven't yet, hit that subscribe button. This might be the very last match, the very last game of this one, and we'll find out in a moment. Cash, you mentioned that Mugi has been running a ton of minor wall breakers, has been leaning on minor wall breakers like crazy. Do you think he needs to go away from it here with everything on the line?
If I'm Mugi right now, I don't know what he will do. We've seen him do a lot of in situations where we haven't seen him back against the wall a lot, but in these big games, we've seen him come up with Royal Giant a lot, and I don't think that's the play in this situation. Maybe he goes with Graveyard. We've seen that as well. I really don't know. I don't think Samuel Bassotto can lose right now, and it looks like we're going to see minor
possibly?
Minor balloon cycle. Okay. We haven't seen Mugi play this deck a lot, but it's still a really solid deck. A lot of outplayability, and this might be the matchup he's looking for. But Samuel Bassotto changes to Royal Giant cycle, and we know that the Hunter does Hunter things against these balloons. So this is not looking like a great matchup for Mugi, but there's always a chance.
So two interesting things here, and AC, I want to take this your direction. First one is Mugi actually using his ban, which he's been doing a lot of not using it so far in this tournament, but banning Earthquake and then going Balloon Cycle. Talk me through that thought process.
Yeah, I think this might be like when Ruben banned Earthquake and then lost to Expo. I mean, he might be outplaying himself with that kind of ban. If he's going to be running Loon and forcing out. I mean, really, it's either Earthquake or Fireball. You don't see Rocket in comp. You don't really see Poison in competitions anymore. So I'm not exactly sure why he chose to do it that way. I would have loved to see Loon come out game 2. But, you know, it's interesting to see his thought process on that. But I'm also not a huge, I don't dislike the play. He's always been known as a phenomenal Loon player. And, you know, maybe he just feels confident with Earthquake being out of cycle or not being allowed to be played, where he thinks he can just outplay whatever deck he goes against.
Yeah, this is an interesting choice here because you make the great point that you ban Earthquake and you put Fireball almost assuredly into Samuel's deck, and now you have to deal with Hunter, Ewiz, and Fireball in this matchup rather than potentially an Earthquake, which would create more openings in the ground for you.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if we don't see one single balloon get on tower, but Mugi can still win with just death damage, minor chip, a little bit of maybe snowball damage here and there, but this is looking very difficult. Samuel Bassotto is so confident right now. He knows what he's doing. He has a game plan going into every single match, and he just looks unstoppable.
And shout out to CWA joining into the chat, one of your favorite YouTubers in all of Clash Royale. And a big supporter, of course, of the CR scene overall. Glad to see you here for this grand final.
Shout out to Ash. Notice me, Ash. I assume there's a lot of people in the chat yelling that right now.
Fireball in on the Archers. Royal Giant Going to go to that bomb tower. Not going to have any issues with defending the Royal Giant on this exchange. But now with a minute 40 left in sudden death overtime, the lead continues to trickle more and more towards Samuel. Time ticking away for Mugi, and needs to find some way past this. What's the game plan at this point? I mean, you know, you're not going to get a win at this point, AC, from stacking up death damage and defending. What's the methodology that Mugi goes for right now?
I mean, Samuel's doing a phenomenal job of doing the RGs in the back. Usually when, you know, you spend 6 elixir in the back, you can go pretty aggressive. But you can't do that against Hunter that often. In triple elixir, if we do see an RG in the back, I mean, really, he probably has one shot at this point in order to come back and win this game. And that's going to be if he sees something like that be played. If he sees, like, even just an E-Wiz out of cycle could be enough for him to think he can go in. Miner on top of the Hunter and then possibly a Snowball as well could give him a chance to be able to win this.
Balloon trying to work its way through, but back to another E-Wiz. The cycle's so nasty here in triple elixir, and that should end the dreams of Mugi being the champion here. 30 seconds remaining. Miner goes not to the Hunter this time, all the way to the back. E-Wiz and Hunter both on that balloon, and that's going to be more than enough to stop it. Cycle can get quick, and Mugi might going to try to go Miner to the inside here and get a sneaky Miner on tower. So we might see Miner Snowball directly to tower here. Let's see what happens. Miner goes to the front, Snowball in, doesn't get the E-Spirit though, and unless this balloon can sneak in and connect, it will not. We have our champion 3-0 undefeated in this bracket. Samuel Bassotto takes home $18,000 and your Bren Chong Cup 2 trophy.
What an incredible performance by Samuel Bassotto. Not even today. This has been, what, a month in the making? He has been dominating since the first game, and he just continued that domination even to that final game. That was pixel perfect, and I can't think of a better winner.
And there you go. Let's take a look at the hardware that will be getting sent all the way to Brazil for Samuel to throw on his wall. And that's the Bren Chong Cup 2 championship. And alongside that, a very hefty prize pool for the Brazilian. What a tournament this has been. Unbelievable gameplay from open qualifiers that started at the end of December through our very, very competitive group stage on into the regional championships. And now here with our world championship, it is Samuel Bassotto taking it down against Mugi. Absolutely insane. AC, some words on your teammate now taking home that big prize pool and hoisting that trophy.
Look, before I say anything about Samuel, I want to say, you know, props to Mugi. I saw someone talk about it a little bit. I think it's 4:03 a.m. for him right now.
Yeah.
He competed. He did everything that he could in order to win that. It just wasn't enough. And, you know, you could argue that, like, maybe you saw some of those mistakes because of it. I'm excited to see what he can do this year. And so he has to feel great about his performance and, you know, just about the year in general. But now that I'm talking about Samuel, I'm so happy for him. I'm so proud of him. He was able to just put everything together. And, you know, if there's going to be a year where you want to put everything together, it's going to be this one. There's so much on the line. It is a year where everything is all about you. You can't look at your teammates to help carry. This is all on you. And Samuel is showing the world that, like, he is ready for that. And he wants it more than anybody else.
$1.6 million on the line for CRL in 2021. Link in the chat and in the show description below on how you can participate and get your chunk of it. About $75,000 each of these first 8 months for the qualifier tournaments, and then of course when we get to that grand final, the rest of that prize pool. Absolutely huge. This has been so much fun. First of all, 18,000 subs, guys. Thank you so much. Very, very cool to hit that with all you here as part of the Bren Chong Cup. To appreciate all of your support, of course. And big shout out to OP Mods, to the entire mod squad who've been taking care of chat in both Twitch and YouTube. Thank you guys, and thank you Sandy in particular for the £5 super chat there at the end to show some love. But the mods here super OP, definitely appreciate that. Cash, any final words? This has been a big journey, and I was excited that you got to cast for this thing. I hope you've had a whole lot of fun through this journey.
Yeah, I do have some words, and it's actually words of advice for anybody playing Samuel Bassotto in CRL 2021, and that is don't BM Samuel Bassotto, because we will see Samuel Bassotto become a next level and just dominate and potentially win CRL 2021 because of it. So please, if you're gonna go up against Samuel Bassotto, don't send him any BM, don't give him that crying skeleton emoji or emote at the end, please. Or do it. It's entertaining to watch.
Guys, go ahead and follow Cash on Twitter. There's the link right now in chat. You can also follow him on Twitch and on YouTube. He is everywhere that things happen with Clash Royale. And you can go ahead and check him out. Really great streams. And of course, as I said before, the YouTube content for Cashman is different than his streaming content. So follow him on Twitter. You can follow all those things right there. And of course, my new co-caster, my new co-worker, and longtime friend AC. Man, excited to get started with you here in a couple of weeks for CRL. Any thoughts on the tournament overall? This has been your last hurrah as a competitive player, but a lot more Clash Royale in your future, of course.
Yeah, personally, happy with how I played. Great way to go out, for the tournament overall. Just phenomenal. It is so exciting to see just the step up in quality of gameplay every single year. This year, we were talking about it a little bit earlier, like when we get to that final top 4, top 8, like that's when we see a lot of the mistakes be from deck choices. Before, it used to be top 2, like we were still seeing plenty of mistakes. Now we're just seeing consistent gameplay from everybody. And so I can't wait to cast this year. I'm super excited, and it's going to be a fun time.
Guys, that's going to be it for today. Thanks, Clash Royale Esports, for your support for community initiatives like this one and many more throughout the year. Thanks, Vincent, for the super chat there at the end. And again, shout out to the entire mod squad for this one. That's going to be it for the Bren Chong Cup 2. It's been a great trip with you guys, and don't worry, we'll be back with CRL 2021 very soon. Link in the chat. Myself, Andrew Guy, Joshua Crap Sharon, and Eric Benemu, World Champion Coach of Team Liquid, will be your casting squad for that one. One more big thanks to Cashman, and of course thanks to everyone over with Revel's squad and Team Queso for putting this one together. Guys, that's it. Ending the stream. It's been fun, and I will see you guys very soon. I'm Rich Slaton, and this is the most fun place for Clash Royale Esports. Peace. And now I'll wait for the piece to show up on the YouTube stream, and then I'll kill the YouTube stream, and boom, YouTube stream is